All right, everybody, welcome to another fabulous episode of the Brandon Bonanza show. We punked you. You thought you were going to see a beautiful Australian lady. Well, guess what? I think she might be sleeping, not to blow up her spot, but she's in Australia. You know, it's crazy over there. So when I realized that this could be the case and I couldn't get in contact with her, I hit up my good friend Sami, and Sami was
Hello. Hi.
very obliged to come hang out with us. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you, Sami. So anyway, everybody, this is my friend Sami.
No problem.
Thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate it. So Sami and I actually recorded something a couple months ago, but because the way my brain works and I'm a procrastinator and then I get busy, I totally haven't posted it yet, but it will be going up soon. So look for that. We talk about something different that we're going to talk about tonight, and it's a very interesting topic. But anyway, we don't want to spoil that topic with this, but I do have a quote, though, that I want to share with everybody, and then we could get started. I'm actually going to share it on the screen so people can see it. And this is a quote that I got from Jason from Archaics. This is actually one of his videos. He has a video of quotes. I highly suggest it. You can see the name of it right there. It's Archaics Quotes of Power, Soul Empowering Sayings. And this one is great. It's a golden inscription discovered on the famous tomb of King Tutankhamun of Egypt. It reads, "I have seen the past, I know the future." And I think that's pretty synchronistic because those of you guys probably don't know this about Sami, but he might have some connection to Egypt. Is this true, Sami?
Allegedly. Well, through my dad, he's Egyptian. My mom was white, so my whole thing, what I mean? Like it's like they'll hear more about it on the other episode. I think we talked a lot more on that episode about that. And I just kind of go by Sami Ahmed 7777. So, anywhere you see this face, and like I'll have that around it too. So you'll know that's me. You know what I mean? Like basically anywhere it's me, it's Sami Ahmed 7777. So
Exactly.
but yeah, I have to say that quote is very true. That's actually why I have a bachelor's in history. I
Really?
Yeah, I got it from an online school known as Charter University. It was all online, so but I was able to study, and I looked at a lot of primary sources, and I like you brought up Archaics. I like a lot of what he does, because really he's doing what a lot of people don't do anymore, which is going to primary sources, and he's drawing off the rawest information you could possibly get. Like every generation you put between an event and the people that were there, the more stuff gets put on top of it. So that determines how people look at it, how other people before them looked at it. So the further and further away you get, the more corrupted it is. So
Oh, dude, totally. Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, they say history. I like to take two sayings about it and mangle them up. And I like to say that history is a lie agreed upon by the winners.
Exactly. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, if that comes from Napoleon, actually. I'm pretty sure his quote pretty much encapsulated that whole thought, which is if you're the winner, you get to determine whatever is true about the loser. And this is why we can't really know what happens after we die, because, like, however it would be interpreted, it would be like a winner loser situation. It'd be like this one went here and found this, so this one finds something different depending on their situation. So
Oh yeah, 100%, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the quote by Napoleon was history is written by the winners, maybe, but there's two different quotes that I mashed up because the other one is history is a lie agreed upon or whatever. So I say it's a lie agreed
Oh,
upon by the winners.
that's actually one of his as well. It what he says history is a fable mutually agreed upon.
Exactly. And then I go and say, and written by the winners.
I mean, it basically is both of those,
Yeah,
it's true. Because if you're
exactly.
not the winner, you don't get to determine what's happening. And I mean, that's kind of even right now with this whole thing about Ukraine. I don't know if you realize, but they really only got a few villages. They haven't really gotten as much territory as they think they have, and they lost a bunch more soldiers and equipment than they think that Russia has. Um, just to get all that ground. And all that's going to happen is they're going to be exhausted of soldiers. And when winter comes, Russia's going to be attacking when they're not going to be able to move.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Russian winters are famous.
Yeah.
Just as Napoleon, right?
I know, right? Isn't it crazy how it all comes back around? And like Hitler is like another Napoleon, and Napoleon was like the Hitler of his time, and they were all like, "Oh, we can." Like it was all good, and as long as he was trying to create a European confederation. But when he decided not to do that and put all his family members in charge of all the places he conquered, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of this guy now," and it just shifted around. And guess who got rid of him? Russia. So I mean,
Yeah, and I think
history
didn't
just keeps,
Charlemagne? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
history keeps repeating itself all the time. We don't even notice.
Yeah, and I think Charlemagne was pretty similar to that as well. And he came to like get all the people of Europe together. But this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. All those people claim to be Egyptian pharaohs. Like also they went to Egypt, Napoleon went to Egypt. I think even Hitler probably went there. So it's funny that it
Well,
ties
he
back in.
wanted to. They never could get in because the British were defending it pretty hard. But I mean, like there were a lot of people that were waiting for them to get there. Like, how in the movies where they always portray it like the French are just waiting for the US to get there. Like, when are they gonna get here? Like, actually, there was Egyptians and Indians and Burmese and stuff that were all waiting for the Japanese and the Germans, and they wanted them to get there, and they were like, "When are they gonna get here?" So isn't
Oh
that
yeah.
crazy how that turns out?
The mean Mr. Mustache guy, he had some pretty good ties in the Middle East for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. So
Well, I mean, the thing about it, you got to realize history is the study of human psychology. And it's all driven by the fear of death because they don't know when they're going to die or how they're going to die. They want to be remembered as some great person, like
totally, dude. It's so funny and it's funny that it keeps repeating itself because some people like archaics. This is what I've talked about on shows on the Oversharing show, if you want to check it out. But people like archaics are people who think, and I love a lot of what he does, and I agree with most of what he does. And but what he says about simulation theory, I feel like I don't think it's a simulation. I think that's still like a materialistic trick. But I think the way they explain it is correctly because human behavior is expressing kind of like a computer programmed it, but that's just because our brains work like computers. So how else would our behavior manifest, especially if we're caught in these loops through trauma? We talk about all this stuff like healing yourself, and I think that's really the way out.
yeah.
But I think that's why these loops occur the way they do. And then maybe there is some sort of reset to this realm also. But I don't think it's a simulation for sure. But it's similar. It's like just
Well,
another way to describe it. He's just
I
putting physical
I
words to it.
I definitely could see it as a simulation. Like
Oh yeah, I totally could too.
the thing is though, here is what I notice is that even in our own lives, in our own family lines, history repeats itself. Because like I hate my dad, my mom hated her dad, like like all our families are all fucked up. Like it's just like, oh, you did this to me. Well, then, I turn around, have a family, let's say, am I gonna do them the same way? You know, so I don't want to do them the same way, which is why I never rush into like having a family and doing all that. Because I mean, you know, you got to do it in the right circumstances, and that's I think a lot of people have lost that basic common sense of just like, how can I actually not repeat those mistakes? I think for a lot of people, it's easier to just repeat the mistake. And there again, it comes down to the fear of death. They don't want to die, and they figure, you know, if they actually take care of the kids, they're going to die from using up all their energy. But you know, in a way, it comes to be self-defeating. It's like, you know, if you're not giving everything for your kids, why are you even here? You know,
Yeah, exactly, man. That's why I like what a lot of people I've met recently, like through the bear community and other people as well, are into that family idea and fixing themselves and raising their kids in a different way than has been done like in the 70s and 80s, you know, or
yeah.
even 90s.
Like honestly, man, I I watch a lot of like YouTubers that are like literally just people that walk around countries and they just show you the places. That for me is something where it's not based on a lie because it's literally here's what's here. I'm gonna go inside here. We're gonna get some food here. You know, see
Oh, I
what
love it.
food looks like. You know, like sort of shit like that instead of like doing all this unnatural shit like, oh, I'm gonna jump a gorge on a hoverboard or so, you know, some stupid shit for views. It's just like, here's some shit, like here's what's here. Here's what it looks like. For me, that's the last truth that there is. Like knocking on wood, you know, just being able to like see something that is factually true and you don't have to weigh it in your mind and be like, okay, was this real? Was this real?
Exactly. And I think that's a great way to spend your time because you're looking into things that are, you know, real. It's not like any kind of fear porn or uh escapism. Like, you know, it's just you're just like, oh, I'm just entertaining myself by checking out what's going on in the world. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I watched this one YouTuber guy. He basically walks around St. Petersburg where he lives, right? And he goes into like all the bars and the stores and the malls and just shows what's there. And it's just like basically anytime you go to one of the bars or one of the restaurants, they've always got American 80s music playing, dude. Like fucking classic rock, fucking hard rock, like fucking rap sometimes, maybe hard style, you know, like European techno, hard style type of shit. But it's never like you know whatever's going on here right now. It's always like some bomb ass music where they got like guitar solos and shit. And it's real like aggressive and manly and shit.
Oh,
And it's
that's awesome.
and I mean, I think that's part of the problem is that we've lost sight of our manhood as a species. Like that low testosterone will be our death because like all that it takes is the person with the higher testosterone to just come in and just punch everybody out and just be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck that guy, you know, and then pretty soon you're like through the whole population, dude. Like you're like, I'm the king. I punched them all out type of shit, you know.
I think how that's how those takeovers that we hear about in history happen, like Rome falling or whatever the hell that was. That, you know, even if that was a fairy tale, whatever. But I think that idea is what they don't tell you about. You know, they're just like, oh, they just kind of became weak. But
Well, like literally, it was what we're doing now. They were just trying to dump whatever foreigners there and be like, "Oh, will you be Romans?" They're like, "Yeah, as long as we get the free shit. Where's the free shit at?" And then when they ran out of the free shit to give out, that's when they all rebelled and created their own little countries and shit, which is scary, dude. Like that could happen here anytime.
yeah, but the only thing about that around here, I'm more worried about people doing it to themselves, not even,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think it's actually on its way up. All this stuff we get, this propaganda is because I think they know it's on the way up. So it's like last desperate attempts to, and they're still going to
They
get
make us
people.
rely on them.
Yeah, people, it's still, listen, it's not like I don't think everyone's going to figure it out and flip it, but I think what's happening is we're getting like a breakaway society. And I've heard about that term for so long, and I think it's not what I thought it was. It's going to be more like the Bears, for example, people just doing their own thing in like the Amish, right?
And I feel you on that. I really believe that too, because the thing is, if there is massive depopulation and they're not able to get like drone armies running and shit, suddenly they're going to be at a massive disadvantage because all the breakaway people will just go converge on them and they won't have anybody to call.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think even what's going to happen is the breakaway people are just not even, they're just going to ignore those people and they're going to lose their effect, just kind of like the Amish did. And maybe even in the future, people like us, other people that live more futuristic, they'll come to people like our homesteads and just be like, look, and they'll pay us to come walk and watch us churn butter or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, I don't think that they're going to be I don't even think there needs to be a rebellion is what I mean, like, or a revolution, you just
I don't think
ignore it.
so either, because that doesn't feed anything except their need for bloodlust and violence, and then it allows them to refocus attention over, oh, the government was attacked by the traitors. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
look at January 6th. All that was a basic protest, dude. It was literally a peaceful, basic protest that had nothing bad happen. And, they should be allowed to walk around and sit in the Congress people's seats, and they should be allowed to see their laptops and see what they're doing on there. There shouldn't be any fear of that. It should be considered perfectly normal. And they should have just been like, you had your fun, now let's go home. And, they could have just diffused the whole situation. But as we see, like, that's going to be made into a movie 20 years from now. And they're going to be like, the day the whole nation was in fear of the right-wing crazies that had hijacked Congress. And they're going to show that QAnon shaman guy, like, acting like he's Hitler, giving orders to the Congress. Like, you will pass this law and blah, 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 blah. And it's going to be like, that did not happen. Like, literally none of that happened. You're just making it up. It shows you how history is written by the victor.
Oh yeah, totally. I see exactly where you're coming from, but the only point I would disagree on is I would say in the current lens, you're exactly right. That's what would happen. But I think in 20 years, shit's going to be changed so much that that's not going to even have an effect on most people. Like if that even happens, I think they're going to be on to other things. But no, I hear you. That's how it would be portrayed if they made a movie about it, especially today. They'd be like, they're trying to hurt us. Look at them coming for us, or whatever. All these things. Like
AOC has like a butcher knife, and she's holding off a crowd of like shotgun armed white men that are trying to like murder her and shit.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Like, you will not pass. I will protect this school.
Selena Gomez would be playing her.
Yeah. With like a butcher knife in her hand. Like, I will protect these poor innocent black children from the ghetto that you were trying to murder for the color of their skin. Oh my God. Like, come on, that didn't happen. You know that didn't happen. Don't fucking try that shit.
This summer, Selena Gomez is, what's her name?
AOC.
AOC. And featuring Harrison Ford as Donald Trump.
Get me to that rally right now. No, sir, we're gonna have to sedate you.
Chewie. Harrison Ford as Trump. He'd be like, he'd have the Wookiee with him from Han Solo, Chewie.
Like, yeah, Chewie's my best friend. He's huge in my life. I love this guy. He's amazing. Like, oh my God, like,
this is Chewie. He's amazing, like fucking Trump.
Vice President Chewie.
Vice President Chewie. I love
Like
it.
he just appoints him vice president instead of Pence. Like, yes, Vice President Chewie is much better than Vice President Pence.
And then you'd have all these like conspiracy theories popping up. Like, I thought it says in the Constitution that the vice president has to wear pants. Chewie ain't wearing no pants. He can't be vice president. He's one heartbeat away. We don't even understand what he says. Dude, Chewie vice president would make like a funny cartoon or something. Like,
you know, it would be cool if it turns out to be some Mexican dude in a suit named Chewie, but with a Y. They're like, I was talking the whole time, man.
He's the tallest Mexican ever.
Out of there.
Yeah, dude, they just take the tallest Mexican ever. That it's like has nothing to do with acting. They're like, you're the tallest. You're now Chewie. Your name is now Chewie. Listen, Juan, we know. Oh man, yeah. Adrian says, "Oh wait, I'm lost. It's Sammy." Yeah. So to reiterate for everybody, I think Kayleigh might still be sleeping. She lives in Australia. This happens from time to time when
we, mate.
Yeah, I mean, this happens on both our ends from time to time when we plan to record. That's why we haven't recorded in a while. Well, we did a live last week, but so the fact that I committed to a live, you know, I get it.
A dingo ate her baby.
Exactly, a dingo ate her baby.
Oh
so she's in. So I hit up my friend Sammy, and Sammy was more than happy to come on the live stream with me. So this is working out pretty well. So anywho, I know we wanted to talk. Well, the topic for the show I was gonna do with Kayleigh, and she still might come here late, so stay tuned, everybody.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. There's a plot twist. What a twist! We thought we were just gonna.
Who the bloody hell are you, mate?
We thought we were gonna have to listen to Sammy all night. But the topic, right? The topic we were gonna discuss was after death, like what we might and then think might happen, or like in the afterlife and all this stuff. And the thing I want to say up front about this is that here, let me. It's live, so we'll be dramatic. Let me get my hat. So obviously, none of us really knows what happened after death, after you die, because we have no memories. I mean, maybe some people can claim to, but most people have no memories of dying and then knowing what happens after. If is reincarnation real? Do you go to heaven or hell? Or is there a limbo? So what we're going to address is not like if there's reincarnation, but it might get into that, but really that next realm that you cross into after you die, if you so believe in that stuff. And I think most people I know all the people who probably listen to this show do, unless some random person's watching, but they have some form of belief that something happens after they die or another. They're not just like atheists who think we just fade away or whatever. I mean, that could be true, right? We could just be all deluding ourselves, but I feel like there's plenty of evidence to suggest that this is a organized realm that we're in somehow by some kind of intelligent consciousness. That's my stance on this. I feel like that you can't really have order come out of chaos. I think that's it's a term that people use, but I don't think what I mean is in creation. I don't think you can get something ordered, an ordered system, a human eyeball, just from random wind in a vacuum. But anywho, that's not what this is about. So anyway, those are just a little bit of my backgrounds. And I think most people kind of agree with me there on that. But we wanted to talk about, though, again, what happens after you cross over, and maybe even different places that people might go, or different experiences that they have based on the life they have had here, the life they've led, and their focus of attention at the time of death. I think is really important too. If somebody has fear or not fear, all those things, but anyway, so let me ask you first, Sammy, what do you think happens after you die?
Well, to be honest with you, like, again, I don't really know, but really, I think it has to do with like your essence as a person, and I think just your essence goes to where all your ancestors be at. I'm not gonna lie, like on the day my mom died, on the day they pulled her off of the the respirator, like she came to me in a dream, and like I saw her, and she was like, she basically told me, she was like, I know you're worrying about me, and I know like you're wondering what's happening. So I'm gonna kind of show you this. And she kind of broke it down for me that she wasn't supposed to, but she basically showed herself up in a place where it was really grassy, and it was really like what heaven would look like. And she was basically just sitting around with a bunch of her ancestors and stuff.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I know. So you know what? Basically, after I saw that, it was on the night she died. It was like on the night they unplugged her and she finally passed away. It was like 4 hours after she was officially dead, like when I was sleeping. And it was like it really took a lot of my fear and worry about it away. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not even gonna like cry over it that much, because at least she's in a good place now, you know, like I think a big reason why death is such a release for a lot of people is because we make this world so unnecessarily upsetting and harsh, and it's stressful, and people don't have the strength to handle this shit all the time, you know, just the constant sadness and different things that happen, and the way life gets for so many people, you know. So
Yeah, dude. I told when why don't you tell everybody if you want to share that when it is that she passed.
August 29th, 2021.
So
Yep.
1 year just passed. I
Yep.
remember we talked about that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what was funny? Like that day was also the day that I got so inspired to do my little rap song that I never put out publicly. Basically, I think I had you listen to it, but I was just rapping about how the vaccine was bullshit, and like fuck the, you know, oh shit, I would get you kicked off of YouTube,
That's
and oh shit,
he's talking about a
sorry
cow named
YouTube.
Scene. He's
I
he's
know,
he's
right?
Mexican. Look at him. No, I'm just kidding. He's speaking Spanish, everybody. No, it's all right. I don't. I think you could say it once and you're all right. You know, just maybe it's 3 times and then Beetlejuice shows up and
Oh no.
you get kicked off of
Oh
YouTube.
no, I'm so sorry, man. Shit.
No, it's all right.
There goes another thing I destroyed.
I did it for comic effect. I'm not really afraid. You know, whatever happens, happens. I just do it because I think it's funny when you say the word and I'm like, ooh, you know, like I think people
Please,
get a kick out of it.
YouTube, I throw myself at your mercy.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about that last night when I had my friend Rodney on. I was saying how
I
YouTube.
watched that, dude. That was good.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. If you're watching this and you haven't seen the show I did with Rodney, go check that out. But yeah, we were talking about how
Hang
YouTube.
on just
Oh yeah, go ahead. I could just share this with the audience. We were talking about YouTube with their censorship. They make it actually kind of fun because it's like South Park used to be back in the day, where you would have to they'd have to beep out swears and all that stuff. So it's kind of like that same funniness going on, you know, especially because the shows that I'm on, I'm a comedian, so usually I'm always trying to be funny. So yeah, I think it's cool. We make it fun. Like on the Oversharon show, I call it the experimental medical serum.
indeed.
Yeah, it
Oh,
just rolls off the tongue.
myocarditis is totally normal. Oh yeah, you know, I'm so sorry, science. You're so true. I believe you. Like I'm totally not afraid of every fucking thing you make.
Exactly. So what do you think? So
Ooh.
now I like what you said about the ancestors because I think there's something to that for sure. I think we're just a living extension of our ancestors if you think about it. You know, people don't like to think about it that way, but we are the needle hitting the record, baby. We're that present moment of men and
Indeed.
women who are alive right now. And I think if more people looked at it that way, it'd be great, because then they would go out and want to express their art. They'd want to make rap songs. They'd want to do videos, write books. And, then you wouldn't even have, I mean, you'd still have some famous people, but you wouldn't, like, I always say to Sharon, like, I don't care if we get famous. It's just nice to have an audience that we know that's watching us and
Yep.
paying attention and getting something. So it's cool. I mean, I love that level,
Well, I do my best every time I see you on, dude. I'm always like, hey, just so you know, I'm there. Like, I'm not there. I may not be super talkative, but I'm there.
yeah, I see in the chat all the time. It's great. We have a really
Ooh.
cool group even in here right now, but when we do our Oversharing premieres, we have a nice little group of people in there, and there's no one ever really getting stupid. And if they do, Sharon just kicks them out. It's funny.
Yep.
But there's so many admins that anybody could just kick them out. We have like we
And
just like to overshare. We have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to division talk. We're like, nope.
And I mean, like we're the Brandon Bonanza gang. We're down with you, you know what I mean? Like, we're not bears, but rah rah and all that, you know what I mean? Shit.
Well, I think it's funny because we say that, but like, you're all the same kind of people. Some people just don't identify as a bear or whatever, but like all of us could hang out somewhere and get along because we all have good morality and we're all funny. You know what I mean?
I identify as super straight, so I'm only into biological women.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be super straight phobic. Don't force me to have relations with transgenders.
Super straight. That's hilarious. Oh man. Yeah.
Super straight phobia is the scourge of our time.
Hell yeah. Quiet Sparky Bear's in there. Chris, he lives in Connecticut where I live. We went hiking, hung out a couple times. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's always in here supporting too. So shout out to you, Chris 081477. There you go. When were you born?
Oh, me? May 21st, 1987. So I'm a Gemini. I'm right on the cusp of Gemini. There's people that say I'm a Taurus, actually, which, I mean, I could see it, but you know what? I think I'm a Gemini. I'm very two-minded.
Well, I mean, aren't we all in our own ways? So I think, I guess getting back to this topic of what happens after we die, I like what you said about the ancestor thing. Like I was saying, I think we're just like a present moment manifestation of them. And I think that I described this on a couple shows about the realm, right? Because I'm a realm earther, right? What does that mean? So I think that we're energy, because if you zoom in on yourself, you're nothing but just particles. There's no really solid part of you that anybody can find. It just appears solid somehow. And I think we're in this realm right now. We're energy in this state of being able to experience physical matter. So I think that the people that came before us are just a little ahead of us on that. And it might be like think of like a picture, figure eight, like a infinity symbol, and they're out in the part right now. We're in the cross for some reason. That when the cross is, that could be where the maybe that's why the cross is so huge, right? You see the cross everywhere in symbolism. They say it's in the sky. Jesus Christ died on a cross. It's that cross where the figure eight's coming through. And that's so funny that I said Jesus died on the cross, because it's like you say he died on the cross, so he was in the physical realm, because where else can you die? Like in that cross is where you die, man. And we're talking about death. It's perfect. So anywho, we're going through this experience right now. It's a physical experience for us. We get to choose right and wrong or whatever, or that's maybe we get to choose what we want to do, right? We have free will. And I think in that other state where we're either closer to energy somehow, or maybe our consciousness is we're experiencing ourselves in some kind of energy form after we die. So I think there isn't free will like we see it here. It's a little different.
Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely think that there are certain conditions under which our free will turns off, but I do believe that God intended us to have freedom. I had a near-death experience in 2016, and that was basically what God well, Jesus appeared to me and he spoke to me, but like he spoke in his language in like Aramaic or something. I know it was Aramaic or something like that because it sounded like Arabic, but it wasn't the same way. It was like different like groupings of sounds and words and shit, and he showed English speaking subtitles as he was talking. It was so weird. So
Oh
I
wow.
I basically just read what he was saying while he was saying it. And like he basically explained how like the spirit of Satan is to want to like make us like slaves and hold us in bondage by writing things down. God's whole way of being is oral. It's not written down because anything written can get tampered with. So he doesn't like writing. And actually Satan's the one that's obsessed with writing everything down and legalism and saying like this is this, you signed this at this date and this time, and it's that spirit of reality and truth versus legalism and wanting to be like, I have it all on paper right here, you agreed to this. And but in reality God's way is just oral and he's just giving you like everything for free, but you still have to go and get it yourself. That's the thing. It's not really like, he's not going to be your concierge, but he obviously gives everybody the opportunity if they want to do what they need to do. Like if, whatever you may need, you can find most any of it out there in the world some way.
Yeah, Zerlat in the chat right now. He just said, hang on, I can only do one thing at a time. He said oral tradition and seed sounds. Yeah. And it's funny because you said that about the devil, the spirit, whatever it is of Satan. And I was I was talking about last night with Rodney about, I'm like, could that be because we were talking about the voices inside our head? I'm like, is that the way that the quote unquote devil or whatever you want to look at it? Is that how he speaks to you? It's just an aspect of yourself somehow that you have to conquer. But I love the way it's portrayed in modern parlances or media or whatever, where it's like you make a deal with the devil and you have to sign it. You sign away your soul. It's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And
I,
see, the thing is, anything that's written can be tampered with. So if you write something down, it will be eventually rewritten. And I mean, you literally see that today, even with the Constitution, where it used to be considered perfectly normal to just like respect the Constitution and everybody knew what it meant. But now it's like, oh, they didn't actually mean we're supposed to be able to defend ourselves. It's for the National Guard, even though the National Guard is not the militia and the militia is the people and all that stuff. But I know that's just that's not related to after death, but like that's even the basic ability to defend yourself gets like criminalized, so you're not even allowed to live. Like you're just supposed to throw your gun down and be like, go ahead and hurt me, kill me. Like that's
that's what
not
they'd have you
God's
believe
way.
in.
God doesn't believe in that.
Yeah, totally. I think what you said was perfect about the oral tradition stuff, because they always will, like I remember in preschool and like kindergarten, they had us play that telephone game, and they'd be like, look how much it changes. They're like trying to demonize oral tradition. It's like, screw you, man. Like that's
Mhm.
because these kids are idiots. But if you get some really smart people,
I know,
they can
I
convey what the
know.
message is. It doesn't matter what the words are if they change, if that same basic message is getting
Yeah.
passed on. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I mean, what are those little kids supposed to do? Oh, they're really supposed to sign a receipt, be like, oh, little Jimmy, little Tino, whatever, like they're supposed to sign a receipt thing, like, oh yeah, they're 3 years old, they're gonna sign a receipt. Oh yeah, okay. I'll
Exactly.
stop one of the vitamins on.
Caribe Root is here. Shout out to her, to Caribe. I don't want to say her real name. We're all anonymous here. She also lives in Connecticut, and we went for a nice little walk in the woods. She's really cool. And she said that she's back and forth prepping some things for tomorrow, but she's listening on another device, and she says she's enjoying Sami. So awesome.
Aw,
Thank
that's
you.
nice of you.
Yeah.
Glad.
No, I think what you're saying is totally valid. And it's funny because and that's kind of how I've come to my guess at what happens after we die. I'll call it, right. It's not even a belief, because I could believe certain things, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm just guessing, and I'm just trying to like feel in the dark. I'm feeling an elephant and I'm describing it. And a lot of the ways that I arrived at this point of view that I have, I'll say, is from listening to a lot of different audiobooks. So I think it's amazing, because I love to listen to audiobooks, and I always felt, because I used to like to read when I was younger, but then now I don't know, sometimes I can get into it, but it's not like it used to be. But audiobooks I could just inhale. And so I think it says something to that effect about passing things down orally. And I've arrived at a lot of these belief systems by listening to lectures by people, by like quote unquote, I don't know, holy people. You might think some of them are a little new agey or whatever, but a lot of the Eastern traditions, like within Buddhism and Taoism and Hinduism, and also listening to, because I grew up with a Christian background, so I have that under my belt with the Bible and stuff, and then just kind of seeing where all meshes, or where the common message and all that stuff is. And I think that even looking into like the occult and looking into symbolism, because I think symbols are a better way to communicate if you have to write things down or draw things, because people can get their own meaning out of it and their own interpretation. It's not like a word where it just keeps changing. Like, what does bad mean? Like, is Michael Jackson bad? What is that? If I said Michael Jackson was bad, that I could probably do that as a joke. If I said Michael Jackson is bad to you guys, what picture pops in your head? Some people unfortunately picture him diddling a kid, and some people see him dancing around saying he's bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's these words that they lose their meanings, and everything can get miscombobulated. So, but I think that's why symbols
I know.
are better.
Remember back in the day, around when I was a kid, like 20 years ago, everybody used the word bad. Like, oh, he's good. He's cool because he's bad. That's bad. Yo.
Like Run
That's
DMC
bad,
said.
homie.
Run DMC, not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, you got to clarify these things. So I've arrived at my I'm getting it. Oh, there we go. Kayleigh just sent me a message. She says, I slept in. I completely forgot to set my alarm. Figures.
Aw.
All right, it's cool. Join it. I'll just say join us when you can.
Cool. Nice. And if you want me to hop off, I'll hop off too. I understand.
Oh, you can hang out. Why not?
Shit, I feel like I'm a guest on the Conan show.
Yeah, exactly. You could that's what you could do. You could just kind of sit back like Ed McMahon and or
Andy
Richter.
Shit.
You could sit back like,
oh my God, over here.
You could be like Humphrey Bogart.
Hey.
I'm like showing my age. You could be like Frank Sinatra.
Hey, that sounds good.
Every once in a while.
Lasagna.
Karibe said her mind went to the MJ song. Good for you. I think there's a lot of propaganda. Listen, if somebody's heavily demonized and people are accepting it, I think everything's inverted. So I'm always like, I think they're lying here about this. I think Michael Jackson was probably the product of a lot of child abuse, but I think also some of that abuse might have involved some kind of weird form of castration to keep his voice the way it is. I know it's a crazy conspiracy theory. Maybe it's not true.
Well, I
don't think he had.
I could see that being real. You know what I think it had to do with was his masters at that time. Both him and Prince had won their masters by default because their record companies were incompetent and didn't show up on the day that they did, and so they won by default. And so they were standing to lose billions from them getting ownership of their masters. So basically, they fucking dragged Prince into that elevator and they injected him with whatever and said he was a fentanyl addict when he never touched that shit before. So like, I mean, I think that's another case of history being written by the victors. You know, they were beaten in court, but they beat them in real life.
Yeah, I think when you get to that level of influence, there's a whole different ball game going on, you know.
I mean,
Again,
I think even with the Bill Cosby thing,
yeah,
I definitely think he did it, but I also think that that was brought out because he must have pissed somebody off about something, and apparently his son, like the killing of his son, they blamed it on the Russian mafia. Come to find out what ethnic group was that guy, and then you realize, oh, actually, the Israeli mafia killed his son. So, I mean, isn't it kind of crazy how that shit turns out? Like they're always kind of involved in all these celebrities.
yeah, I think these celebrities somehow make deals, even if they don't realize the deals that they're making. And these are could be literal deals with the devil or whatever, you know, with these people. And when you don't realize that at the top of the music industry, it could be some organized gangsters benefiting. If you go against them, you know, you're gonna have to pay some consequences, unfortunately. But you know, they're probably in a better place at least. I just like to address the propaganda part of it. But yeah, no, I think, and it brings us back to like what happens,
Yeah,
especially.
and it brings us back to the original discussion is that a lot of those people want to live. Eventually, their time's up, and there's just nothing they can do. Bam, bam, you know, they're gone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if we're going to a place that depends on our actions in this life, I think they might go to a better place because they at the end they kind of woke up to what was going on at some degree. Who knows what they knew or what's really even going on, but they woke up to the corruption of it and they stood against it, and they paid the ultimate price for it. But
Yeah.
because of that, I think it's possible that they went to a place now where their consciousness, and this is what I think about people who follow their dharma. Um, because if you think about it, Prince and Michael Jackson brought joy to a lot of people. I mean, I was never a real big fan of Michael Jackson. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I had nothing against the guy. I just don't like pop music. You know what I mean? Like, other than that, he
Yeah.
seemed like he's you know, maybe a little weird. I get it, but
I
doesn't
mean,
bother me.
I like songs that were based on songs of his, like when rappers have sampled his songs, but
Oh yeah,
I never really have been interested in his music.
yeah, and
I
it's definitely great dance music. You know, I played at weddings and stuff. You know, I'm just saying.
I always felt like that was the generation before mine, and I didn't really vibe with it.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
It it just seemed way too happy. Like, what the fuck? Like, why does it have to be so happy? Like,
How dare you?
it's always like da 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 da. Da.
Yeah.
He's just you just see him all happy and shit. Like, imagine the drugs he had to be on, dude. Like, fucking, like nobody felt bad for him. They were just like, oh, do whatever we have to get these fucking albums out. We need to keep Motown alive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, it's funny you said that because I was gonna say you didn't get all the 80s music, but I'm like, is that's because you weren't high on the cocaine or whatever the hell they were high on.
I know, right? Like literally everybody back then was just buying bags of cocaine and shit. And I mean, there we go back into the ancestral lines because I mean that's part of the thing with my dad. Like, you know, he plays super Muslim and shit, but back in the 80s, he was straight up like coked out his mind and shit. So he makes whatever assumptions about me on the basis of whatever time he was in, and it's like all I do is smoke weed and hang out, dude. Like I don't do no hard shit. I don't fuck with the weird shit. I don't want to touch the fentanyl or none of that crap. I just smoke weed, drink coffee, drink soda,
Exactly. Yeah.
whatever, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
dude, exactly. And Karibe has another nice little comment in the chat. She said that she's suspicious of things like that, but also she believes that these performers at a young age are probably groomed into the business, you know, and then they make this deal and they don't even realize they're trapped in it. Oh, Kayleigh's here. Oh,
Oh hell yeah! Like those young models, like what? Like basically, they like when you're like one of those young girl models. That's basically what they do. It's like so sad. Like they end up pouring them out by the time that they're not even legal yet or anything. They're just pouring them out.
yeah, no, I hear you, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of whoring
Hello.
out,
Hi.
Hey, Kayleigh.
what's up,
Hi,
Kayleigh?
how are you?
Oh,
I'm
we're
well.
doing
How are
great.
you?
How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Just yeah, a bit of a manic morning.
Oh, no, don't worry about it, dude. It worked out perfectly because we had a great conversation so far about a bunch of different stuff, and then you coming in now to be perfect because we can get your point of view on this stuff. And Sammy said he's going to be
Aw.
like Andy Richter to Conan O'Brien and just sit on the couch and hang out. That's an American reference. So
So what have you been
yeah.
talking about then?
Basically we've been talking about what we think happens after we die. Sammy talked about his mom who passed away last year in August, and he's talking about how he thinks like there's a lot of stuff where you go to where your ancestors are and all that, which I really like. And then I was talking about the energy thing with the realm and how I think right now we're having a physical experience and we get to have free will. We get to make choices in this realm. I think in the next one we're not going to be in that state to make choices. It's going to be more of, I don't know, either like a recharge or refresh. We're going to learn some other kind of lessons and prepare for our next incarnation into the physical. And I think depending on how your behavior is and the manner of your state of consciousness when you die, are you in fear? Are you in acceptance? All these different levels, anger, regret, whatever it is. I feel like that propels you to another part of the realm on the other side where you get to learn lessons about that or whatever. But I really think the key, I didn't really say this yet, but I think it's to have no fear at the time of death. And I think that if you could do that, which I've heard a lot about that in like the Bhagavad Gita or Hinduism, they talk about like the proper way to die, how you like exit through the head and all this stuff. And there's a way to meditate on it. And I don't know if that's just allegory for saying don't have fear when you die, or maybe that is the correct method. But I think that if you just accept it for what it is and you don't have fear, then you could see and you could be conscious for everything that's happening. Because, like sometimes when you are scared or angry or whatever, it will tint the picture of reality of what's really going on around you, right? Like if you're afraid of something, you might act one way, or if you're mad, you might see things differently until later. But I think in that moment of death, if you're experiencing one of these emotions, you're going to see and feel and experience or whatever's happening in that frame of mind. And I think that's going to affect what your next step is or your step as it's happening. So I think that having no fear really for that would be the key. So anyway, that's what I think.
Well, Sam, first of all, sorry to hear about your mom passing away. That's really sad. Did you see any sort of like signs after she died or anything? Because some people say they see, like a feather or anything, you know what I mean? Like
That's kind of what I was bringing up. How like I saw in a dream, like she showed me where she went to, and she basically told me like she wasn't supposed to, but she was like, "I know you're worried about me, so just know that I'm here and I'm okay now." And it like I know it was her too because that's like literally what she would say. Like she would be like, like I'm technically not supposed to do this for you, but here you go, type of stuff, so that I would know that she was free now and she didn't really have to worry anymore. And I took it to mean that like she was, safe in heaven, like so that's for me that was enough to just be like, cool, I don't really have to like be super sad about it because I knew like because I knew her while she was here on this earth, and I knew like what she had to go through, and she had a lot in her life, so like, I mean, she had good times as well as bad times, but like, You know, she like, especially for the time that I knew her, there was a lot of suffering, you know, so I mean, just for her to finally be able to be free and be with her mom who died when she was like in her 30s and stuff. And that's another thing. It's like you go back in that line of the ancestors. So basically, I existed after my mom's mom died. So like when she had her mom here, it's like that's a whole nother period of her life. Just like for me, now like the time after my mom's not here anymore, that's going to be a whole different period of my life, you know. And it's just like kind of, it's in a way it's kind of amazing, like the first 34 years were the years with my mom, and now like from year 35 on it's going to be, you know, the post her years, you know. It's in a way it's kind of new promise as much as it's like the bad part of not having her here, you know.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I think that you know, because what I was saying about us being all energy, if that's true, then on some level, if you can focus the lens, we're all part of the same consciousness. So I think that even though she moved on in the physical realm, she's still attached to you in that way. So that's why you're able to get like a message from her. You know, it could be the way that our higher self works. Maybe our higher self, people talk about the higher self and all this stuff.
And
Oh,
you
go
know,
ahead.
something weird, like I did have signs like after she died too, like they're like basically like I saw like things a lot in dreams, and I still kind of do. Like a lot of the time I'll be able to talk to her in dreams and stuff, and then I'll wake up. And and the thing is, right after she died, I had certain things in crypto happen too, where it was like suddenly I made a bunch of money out of nowhere, and it was like off of something that I didn't even know that was gonna happen, you know. It just suddenly fell in my lap for a little while. And then I got a job, you know, and I've been working this job for the better part of this whole year. So and it's like I feel like she took her hands and put them on the levers and made it happen for me in a way, just so that it would feel a little bit better for me now that she's gone, you know. And I do feel taken care of by God in that way. Like I definitely think my mom's up there arguing on my behalf somehow. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
My
Oh, I
my
was just
granddad
gonna
had a, oh
go
yeah.
ahead.
Sorry.
Jinx.
My granddad had a similar experience to yourself when his mum passed away. He went to I think it was bingo. You guys have bingo over there, of course. And he never used to pay for MOT for his car. So MOT is kind of like, I don't know how you have it in the States. When you have your annual check on your car to make sure all the brakes are working and the steering's all in check, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of against the law if you don't do it and things like that. You get a fine and things. Do you have that?
We have it's like state by state here, but it basically devolved into a emissions check. They used to do like a safety inspection and all this stuff, make sure it's safe for the road, but now they just want your money and they want to make it about emissions. But yeah, I know we
Well,
know.
yeah, of course, that's what it's always about. It's never about safety, is it? But
It's like for the registration and the insurance and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so yeah, he went to bingo with my mum, and he ended up winning. And guess what he won? An MOT. So that we think that it was his mum, you know, when she passed away, saying, "You need to sort your MOT out. Like, I'm going to do it for you then."
Wow.
So
How much
yeah.
is it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not an expensive. It's something like maybe $60 US, but that's if there's nothing wrong with the car. Like if there's something wrong, obviously you got to pay for the repair of whatever needs to be fixed. So
Wow, that's crazy. It was the same
um,
amount though.
yeah. So yeah, I agree with Sam. Like I think they can pass messages or help you from beyond, because I've had some freaky things happen to me too in my life. borderline miracles, to be honest. And so I do think that, and then back to what also you were saying, how you change your energy when you pass away, and depending on, if you're scared or anything, I think that definitely can manifest where you end up when you pass away. And I also think whatever you believe in your life, you manifest that creation. So if you believe in a Christian God, for example, when you die, I think you can manifest the Christian God to appear to you in that form that you believe in, just to sort of cushion the blow of you passing away, kind of thing. Same if you believe in, like a Hindu goddess, you see that when you pass away, to cushion the blow, you manifest that, and then you can maybe transform onto the next level. Even if you believe in reincarnation, I think that probably happens too first before anything else. That's why people have past life, when they have a near-death experience, they all see a different thing. I saw God, I saw the tunnel of white light, I saw Ganesh, or anything. It's because they're manifesting that with their belief system from life, and then that cushions the blow for them when they die, and then they move on to the next stage. I think that's the only answer for what people see when they pass away, when they see different things.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you're scared, some people manifest hell as well. Actually, I've heard of that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's portrayed really well, like an Egyptian with the underworld, and there's your guide. And then like in the Greek, they have like the river Styx. There's a guide that brings you over. And I think that guide is, so for energy, and part of us realizes that, and it's connected to everything, right? That higher self technically would be connected to Jesus and Buddha and all this stuff, because that's what the consciousness can achieve. And some people have achieved it. So I think that comes through to us to guide us over if we come through with no fear. Because I've heard that similar thing. I think it was Fortune Saint Germain on Crow 777 was saying how he thinks that when you die, certain people will be greeted, just like you said, by either Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or whatever it is. And they're going to kind of be there to guide them through to the next thing. And I think after that, whatever that is, that journey you go on in the other realm, I think that's when if reincarnation is real, that's when you would reincarnate back in here. You go through the veil of forgetfulness, which it's called. So you forget everything in your past life consciously, like right now in your egoic state or whatever, however you want to describe it. So you forget it. Maybe you have ways to reconnect with it or whatever. But I think there's a reason why we forget, because we couldn't really learn lessons. Sami and I were talking about this earlier too. They're like, well, if you knew when you were going to die and what happened after you died, this whole experience would be so much different. Like the challenges would just not be there.
Could you imagine, like, people would just hide away in their house? They literally would just do nothing. They'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die here, because of this person. I better not ever meet them or talk to them, or
I think that could happen. But if you knew what was going to happen after you died, like that it wasn't anything to be scared of, I think people would just not give a fuck about anything. Why would you? And not saying that's bad, but I think that so if that's the case, I think the veil of forgetfulness is so we can learn lessons. And I therefore might have to ponder, or might have to add to that maybe we chose that. So we're not victims here, as a lot of us think we are. I think we chose, it's like, it's kind of like people say simulation or a video game. Think of a video game. Sometimes you put it on the hardest level because you wanted to be challenged more. But what if you forgot about it and you ended up in the video game? I think it's similar to that.
Yeah, plus also our perception of good and bad is different to what actually is good and bad. So we perceive death as a bad thing, or certain life experiences are a bad thing, and such as trauma and things. I'm not saying they're not bad, but it's a different perception to what kind of the universe creates, if that makes sense. So like death isn't a bad thing. It's just that we perceive it as a bad thing. But as far as the universe goes, it's not. It's organic, it's normal, it's natural. There could be something that's gone on in your life that you perceive as a bad thing, when actually your higher self or the universe is like, no, it's propelling you into something else, pushing you further, or putting you on that path, or making you look at that part of yourself, or making you think about how that person feels. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that has to happen, you know? So yeah, our perception can change a lot depending on kind of the experiences. So if we knew everything that was going to happen as well in our life, we might try and avoid those things, and then we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't change and develop or help that other person, or, you know, change this and that. So I think you forget you're programmed when you're born to not sort of understand a lot, to not understand.
If I may cut in, Kayleigh, I just wanted to say, like, to me, this is why time travel can't possibly be real, because if you could,
that is such a good point.
Literally, if you could travel back in time, there would just constantly be like special ops or like whoever trying to go back in time, like, let's kill this person and then let's kill this person. And pretty soon it's just people killing people like back in caveman days, because they're like, oh, this is a descendant of whoever the fuck. Let's get him. And then you don't have any more history. You don't have any more lineage. You don't have any more of that knowledge. And we'd be back to square one. It wouldn't even be moving.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's a great point, the time travel thing. Have you ever said to yourself, oh, I wish I could turn back time and change this or that and not do this or anything?
I mean, I have plenty of times, but the thing with it is you don't know what you're changing if you go back in time like that. You might end up changing something and you make it even worse, or you make it better, but you make it worse in other ways.
I agree.
My problem is I always connect things to Simpsons episodes, and it reminds me of that episode where Homer gets that time traveling machine and he ends up changing history so much that it rains donuts and they're considered rain, and like he's just like, oh, I'm rich and my in-laws are dead and this and that, and it's just like, but yet they all have like lizard tongues or whatever. So I mean, you kind of have to make your choice, if that, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. And also maybe if you change that element of your life, you might change that scene, for example, with those actors, with those people. However, it will present itself in a different form, in a different situation at a different time. So maybe you can't even escape that, just that you're just trying to escape that particular act, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You'll just face it in another form. Like let's say you get away from an abuser, but then you go to another abuser because you're looking for that same set of traits. And it's like, oh, well, he emotionally abuses you instead of physically, but it's still painful, isn't it? I mean, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
That's the conundrum.
Adrian says she's still here. She says, hey, Sami, I'm still here, just listening. Also looking at knitting projects online to find my next project.
Nice.
Maybe you could knit a cape for death. I'm just kidding. We'll get a
death sickle. Is like, I could be convinced to get one of those.
Yeah, right. Or a brand off the gray. Brand off the gray cloak for me. So I could walk around with like a holy cloak. That'd be hilarious. I'd probably end up on a cross in like 10 minutes. People would be like, nail that guy to the cross. Yeah, no, I like what you guys are saying for sure. And I think that even if it's not exactly what we think, I think we're getting close to the mark on what it is, you know. And I think we're just not gonna, I think because we're energy, we might appear as spirits to people here, and they might even be able to, like, you know, they say some people can like conjure demons to do their will or angels to do their will. I think that's what happens, depending on if we go polar, like negative or positive, I'll say, instead of good and evil. I think then we're able to be accessed by people in this realm to aid them in whatever way. Because even if you're evil, I feel like you have to keep going in it until you figure it out and wake up for yourself and realize it's bad. So if these demons or negative entities are helping these people do their evil quicker, I think in the long run, it's actually a good thing for them because they can learn their lessons faster. Because if we really are just energy and we're eternal beings, then it doesn't matter. It matters if someone's killing somebody, like you have self-defense. But then if you look at it on a different lens, it doesn't really matter because maybe it's all meant to happen. Not saying you shouldn't stop. This is like a very fine line we're talking here. You should obviously stop any kind of abuse, and you have the right to defend yourself, and you shouldn't advocate for that stuff. But you also don't have to feel bad for it or be a victim, because on one level you could see that the reason this child unfortunately had to die was because of this arc that's going on, and I just can't understand it because I'm just a mere human. But in that way, I think even the people are getting help, like from the negative side. It's just helping everything speed up and get to where it needs to go. And I think that's also part of this. I think it starts to go by faster because I really feel like time is just going by faster lately. I don't know if it's me or what, but man, this is like
they say
it's already September, dude.
They say it has to do with that polar switch, man. I think so.
Yeah.
I personally think the core of the Earth is heating up, and that's why it's like a bigger magnetic field, and the magnetic field makes the speed go faster.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in for something.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that because I'm still working out what I think the Earth is, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why it's a realm, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't subscribe to the flat Earth theory or the spherical Earth. Like, I don't subscribe to any of those.
How dare
beliefs.
you?
I know, because I don't know what it is. Like,
I personally think the Earth is infinite.
Yeah.
I think there's no way for them to fully explore it and say it's like fully explored. I think what they say are the 7 continents are the 7 continents they allow us to see. I think they stopped the age of exploration, but they still do it because that's why they're obsessed with going underneath the sea and shit. Because I think there's other sides of the Earth underneath the sea. I think like that's how you go down the hole and you go to the other end where there's more continents.
I think you're exactly right, but I don't think that my thought. So if I'm like a realm theory guy, like I think it's a spiritual realm. I think what it is larger, but I think it's our consciousness being locked inside this idea that it's not that big. So to us, it doesn't appear that big because for whatever reason, we're accepting this limiting belief system that it's smaller. And I think other people, maybe they could travel to other places beyond the ice wall or whatever that is because they have the consciousness to accept it and they're not slaves at the end of the day. Because I think slavery is just a mindset, and if you get entangled to this slavery, I was talking about this last night with my friend Rodney. If you get entangled into this slavery mindset, you're just a slave to that voice in your head, really, whatever. But then there's other people who are masters only because they master themselves internally. And they could come along and they can either help you or take advantage of you. And then you now become their slave because you're a slave to yourself. So it's like as above, so below. But I think those people, the true masters, whether they're some are negative or positive, I think maybe they could get to these other parts of the realm because of they don't have a limited belief system about it. And to them, it's like they say like my friend Joe has a show, and in the beginning, he quotes this thing. I don't know if it's from a song or whatever, but he's like, to the maggots, the cheese is the universe. To the worms and the corpse is the cosmos. Like they have this limited view of it. And I think it's the same with us, So if you want to go beyond that ice wall, just know that you can. And if you don't really know it, you might not be able to. So watch out. Go ahead.
It's kind of like if you imagine, because we're farmed, right? I believe we're farmed for energy and things. So if you imagine being a cow in a pasture, for example, for a farmer, that cow has no idea that there's a whole other world out there and it could be free, and it used to be wild, and it just doesn't understand it because it just has never experienced it, and it can't see it. It's just being a cow in the field for the farmer. It just has no clue. Perhaps we're like that, and we're kept in a sort of farmed pasture, and we've got no idea what it's like to not be in it, so we can't imagine it, we can't manifest it, we can't just walk out and go beyond the ice and things like that, for example, because we just don't know, we just don't understand it, we can't perceive it. It could be like that for us. And there's a whole other sort of like you're saying, another part of this, what do you call it, Brendan? Not the earth, you call
Realm.
it a realm. Yeah, there could be a whole other part of the realm that we...
It's a realm, baby.
That we
Yeah, no, I love that. I think exactly, dude. I agree 100%. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's...
Oh, yeah. So I and the reason, so another reason I'd like to talk about why I think it's a realm, or better yet, not to, because see, again, if I'm wrong, I don't really care. It's like my hobby, right? It's like I'm playing a game of poker, but we're playing like 25 cents. Like if I lose this hand, well, it sucks, but whatever. So anyway, my argument against the belief system of globe earth or flat earth or even simulation would be that they're all materialistic. That's all a materialistic mindset. And who has a materialistic mindset? A slave, right? You keep a slave with a materialistic mindset because then he has this limited belief system. He has different values and all this stuff. And I think if you need to know what it is, then maybe there's something inside you that needs control to have this sense of control, right? So I just let it be a mystery because I'm in control of a lot of certain things, but there's certain things that I'm not in control of that happen. It's God, it's nature, it's whatever it is. So when I realized that, I could let go and I don't need a secure belief system, or I don't need to know what it is, right? And then get back to the materialism thing, round globe in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a vacuum of space. It's a material thing that we're on. It's a rock or whatever. And B, in space, nobody can see a freak out or whatever. I mean, like people just get away with whatever because they don't think they're being watched, or they don't think their actions really matter in the grand scheme, because we're all just dust in the wind. And then you get flat earth, which makes more sense to me because of all the evidence that I see with my own eyes, but it's still a physical thing that we're on with a physical dome, which I think it could appear like that to us. But since we're energy being tricked into think that we're having a physical experience, that's what, like a simulation theory, that's kind of how you would put it. But you're just now saying we're inside a physical computer or some program, whereas I still think it's just energy, man. It's just like we can't explain it. So all three of those belief systems have at the core of them materialism. And that's the other kind of argument I would put against that. Now, again, I could be wrong. Maybe we're Neo in the Matrix, baby, but I think that's a lot of that's all allegory. So, oh yeah. And Mr. Miyagi, we have in our chat, his handle is Mr. Miyagi. It's pretty hilarious. Like Mr. Miyagi, he said, so true, Brandon. It puts people in a box. See, look at that. Other people agree with me. Again, but it doesn't matter to me what somebody believes, because as long as they're living in accordance with natural law or the golden rule, I sound like a broken record over here. Not on this show, but I'm always saying this. But yeah, as long as you're living that way, you're cool with me. Don't hurt me. Don't start none, won't be none. Don't start none, won't be none, as Mark Passio says. I love when he says that. Because, dude, they used to say that in the Marines all the time. They would always be like, don't start none, won't be none. And I'm like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, but yeah, dude, that's why I just like to talk about these on shows. It's like a fun thing. It's like entertainment for me, all this stuff. Really, I don't get tied to I try not to get tied to my beliefs. It's just, I've done it before and it's just no fun. Then you're arguing in a chat room somewhere. You're like making comments, on Facebook about PCR test. Don't you know about Carrie Mullis? It's like, let
God,
them
I had a dream
figure it
when I
out.
had a PCR test the other night, like a nightmare where I had a PCR test. Like I had a swab up my nose and I felt that the dream was real. And when I woke up, my nose was running and I was like, oh. no. And I was like, I've been tagged. Ah!
That's so funny. Yeah, see, that's what the programming does. And I was saying this today to some friends. We have a little meeting, and I was saying how, like, you know, if you get the experimental medical serum, or if you don't, I don't think one shot, maybe two. I'm not recommending this. I'm just saying I don't think it does what the truther side says with all the stuff, and it changes you forever. I think it's more about being a psyop, you know. Also, it's about the continual. If you keep getting this experimental medical serum, you know how there's like booster rockets on the Challenger, you know, if you get those boosters, I think that that's where the problem lies in. And then you're just going to have issues, and you're going to be more dependent on their healthcare system. And then they make all this money. You know, I think at the root of it, that's where a lot of it happens subconsciously with these people. Maybe there's some other grand plan, but, you know, I just think that the whole despair thing, whenever I smell that despair or victimhood, I'm just like, I don't know. I think they're trying to move like the Overton window of what's acceptable and what's believable. You know, it's like, don't let them do it, man. But yeah, that PCR test, that shit is hilarious, man. I don't even, I tell people now, because they always come to me, like people I know that are even normie adjacent and stuff. I was like, what do you think about this? Or like friends of mine that are Trump supporters. And I'm always just like, dude, no. I'm like, that's just all BS. They're just trying to get your attention and scare you. Like, they just don't be scared. It's so easy. I mean, it's not, I guess, but yeah,
in the truther community, there's a lot of fear that gets passed around, and I think some people are affected by it, some people aren't. I mean, you could have two of the, what do you call them, what do you call it,
experimental medical serum. It's the 2021 experimental medical serum, ladies and gentlemen. Get it free today. I was in the supermarket the other day, and they're like, have you gotten your experimental medical serum? That's not what they say. That's what I say. They're like, you could probably get it for free. Just come to the pharmacy. And I'm like trying to get organic fruit. And I'm just like, I'm getting organic fruit from the people who are giving away experimental medical serums for free. But anyway, it's all good.
That's actually funny when people do actually do that. They have organic everything, and then they're like, oh, got to get my booster.
Yeah, I was talking about that with a friend recently about the left-right paradigm here in the U.S. because you used to be considered to be on the left, and Owen Benjamin talks about this too. Like if you were into organic food and you were like anti-war and you were into like health freedom, you were considered a liberal. Now you're considered a Trump supporter or something. It's so crazy how, and I've always heard about how this stuff switches, and now I've watched it happen in my lifetime a couple times, you know, and it's like when Barack Obama got elected, it was like I'm gonna end all these wars, and I knew by that time he wasn't gonna. I knew I was on to them, but and then all my friends who were liberals, because I was kind of more, I guess you could say I was coming out of a liberal mindset, but once I woke up to what politics really was, I still had those kind of sympathies and friends too, and I would say to them like, what about these wars? They're like, yeah, Obama's president. I'm like, yeah, but what about these wars? You know, like I had this whole conversation with my friend that's from Barbados, and his dad is from Barbados too. And they're not all of them. My friend understood that Barack Obama was, you know, what he was, but his dad and mom are like really into him, and they're these older Bayesian people. And I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, dude, just because I'm like, you know how you hate racism, right? Yeah, well, right now you're acting like just because this guy is your race that it's going to be better. I'm like, you know, some people can lie. And also though, I get it, because the other side is so horrible to them, you know, with the war and stuff, but he just kept those wars going. If not anything, he opened up wars in more theaters. So it's like, hey guys. And then all of a sudden, all those people who were considered lefties and anti-war, they just kind of like ignored it, you know. They're just like, whatever. And I'm like, dude, what about the war? And they're like, shut up, you're ruining our fucking good time. Dude, when Barack Obama got elected, it was like a constant, people were just partying. They were like, yeah, we did it. And I'm like, what did we do? Like, I'm the one, if you think about it, who's least racist here, because I don't care what color the dude, like if we had a purple guy and he was actually going to be the best thing for us, I'd be like, yeah, vote. I don't care what color his skin is. It's like, it's what he's on the inside. So everyone's like, yeah, we did it. I'm like, yeah, congratulations. You just got to guy that's going to drop more drone bombs allegedly on anyone that ever, like, who cares what color his skin is, you idiots? Like,
Yeah, 100%. Spot
but
on.
they were
It's
partying, man. That
another
was, sorry, go
trap
ahead.
and some trap, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the way you think. Where's Sam gone, by the way? Or is he
I don't
just...
know. He might still be there. I think he has a caregiver there, so he might be indisposed a little bit. I like his little
Okay.
comment. Yeah, he said he'd hang out or go or whatever at his leisure. So, but yeah, I like Mr. Miyagi said, I'm not anti-government. I just don't participate. Exactly, because your participation in it, even if you hate it, you're
Yeah.
giving it your prana, your energy, your attention. I think, what if your attention was the most valuable thing? It makes me think about that because, like, I have cats, just like Kayleigh has kitties, and just like people in your life and other things, people are always vying for your attention. And I have a 1-year-old niece now, and she comes over, and I noticed that similar to like with my cats, like they realize when I'm looking at my phone, and so does like my niece and my other niece, Devin now. Like they know when you're looking at your phone and you're giving your attention to that instead of them, right? Like kids, same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
and at that age, they don't really have the need for anything really besides food or whatever and attention, right?
Yeah.
So I think as we get older, we kind of lose sight of that, right? And we just put our attention in all these crazy places. But if you think about it, where your attention goes, the energy flows, as they say. And I think that whatever you're giving attention to, you're actually giving it life, So if it's politics or sports, God, I'm like, I heard people talking about sports when I was setting up for a wedding, and I'm like, people still watch fucking football. I'm like, dude, after all that craziness, like, I mean, I get it, I guess, but I'm like, you could still watch. I'm like, don't you know that's all probably rigged? Like, have you ever watched any of those videos about how sports are probably rigged? It's like, what? Yeah.
You were saying this the other day, like some things, the UFC or the MMA, the fights. Some of those, I'm just like, is this set up? Has this been predetermined? Because that was just crazy the way that ended, or that was just crazy. And even the football teams do well for a couple of years, and then another team will take over and start doing well for a couple of years. And I'm sat there and I'm like, surely they can't like set this up and rig this. But the thought's there in my mind, like that is possible. They do. Yeah. So I'm glad you've just said that, because I honestly do think that. Yeah.
Well, like, listen to this, right? All the good 80s movies and 90s movies, a lot of them involved, even shows. It was like about somebody in a fight taking a dive, take a dive. Or like there was this movie, The Last Boy Scout, with Bruce Willis, and it showed kind of how that stuff was with betting. It was kind of corrupt and stuff. It's like you were showed all this in movies. Do you think it got better? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so funny, but I get it. It goes back to like the breads and circuses thing of Rome, where it's like, it's a form of escapism where people could focus their prana and attention, and they're not focusing it toward, they're not taking their anger, hate, or whatever it is out on the government or out on various things. You know what I mean? So I think it's really, but at the end of the day, it could be a good thing for people like us, because I think, just like so many people want to get rid of the police, it's like, well, yeah, but then all these idiots would just rip themselves apart, like, so it's like, well, maybe that's not the answer, but it's better than what would be there if you just took it away. So maybe you should, work on your own behavior and maybe inspire some people to do it. And then we could live in a breakaway society that doesn't require that level of law enforcement. We could just have like a militia or whatever, not even to like attack people, just like some defensive or whatever it is, like, but I think in our current state, if they took the police away, it would be, it'd be nuts.
And if you took their sports away.
Yeah, that's what yeah, exactly. Thank you for reminding me. That's where I was going. If you take their sports away, they might be like out in the street rioting. So good for them, like, and I know people, because oh, I was going to say ESPN.
They would be distracted on a Sunday afternoon at the pub with their mates, all in the pub watching their favorite match or sport.
They might be out in the street over stupid stuff, though. Like, yeah, like. But yeah, ESPN is here in Connecticut. ESPN is the big sports channel. They do like the Sports Center and all that. So I've done well. It's funny because listen to this crazy story. I guess I shouldn't say exactly who it is, but somebody I worked with. I was gonna exactly say who it was. That's so funny because I thought we were just talking. But anyway, so somebody I worked with before will fill in once in a while to DJ, but because he lives in Connecticut, his real job is he's like high up in one of these corporations, and he's close to like some of these CEOs that like at I don't want to say the name of it, but think of the place where you go to Florida and it's like the mouse is there, you know. So he like is an assistant in to the CEO of that place with the magical castle, but not like a direct assistant. It's like when that guy is dealing with the company he works for, he's like his point man on it. So like it's nuts. Like it's like I'll just say it's a small world. It's a small world after all, right? Because and I think that these people don't live exactly how people think they do. You know what I mean? Like just talking to him about, and he's not this guy that I'm talking about that does that. He's definitely not, I would say, on our level of the way we see the world. He has a more liberal point of view. Really nice guy though, but I could still ask him about like everyday things. You know what I mean? I'm like, so what's this guy like? You know, and they're just normal people who kind of got up to these positions, and they're just motivated by their own internal struggle. And because of that, maybe people above them, just like they pull the normies, they could also pull their strings, you know, or maybe it's just an energy. Maybe it's the Emperor from Star Wars, you know, maybe it's a entity from another dimension at the end of the day, pulling their strings for them. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's like, what are you going to go hang that guy or somebody that you don't like because they're the CEO of this and they're like a Illuminati member or whatever, you know? It's like, just like the Hydra, you cut off one head, another one's going to pop up. So that's, you know.
Oh, like, 100%. Yes, that would happen. So then we'd have to kill them all. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. And then it's like, then you're feeding that battery, that egregore, because that's what it wants. It wants you to kill somebody out of hatred, you know, just like the Emperor and Luke Skywalker, strike me down with your anger and I would become stronger or whatever, you know, like it's all that stuff. Like the Emperor knew that he could easily, if Luke Skywalker came at him, that he could defend that attack, but he wanted him to do it to cross that line. He was tricking him into thinking, you know, he just didn't see Darth Vader coming. No one ever sees Darth Vader coming. How did he not? He's a giant guy with a black suit and he breathes real loud. How'd you not see that coming, Palpatine? Come on. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's just not even worth it, honestly, in my opinion. You know, it's more about doing your own thing.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
No, 100%. Wouldn't have it any other way. I'm just laughing at you know, when you said that animals come for attention and things. Like, did you see Millie jump up before?
Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking about that. I was gonna be like, go ahead.
Last time we did one as well. Remember when we heard a noise in the background and I turned around and we saw Millie fall off the cabinet because she wants attention.
Yeah, exactly. She wants that prana.
Yeah. While we're on the topic about the death thing, by the way, sorry, I wanted to get your opinion on. Remember we talked about the soul trap?
Yeah.
We were talking about the harvesting when you reincarnate and things, and
yes.
If anyone's in the chat, perhaps they could, you know, give us their opinion on it too. I was going to say Sam, but he's gone for the moment. I've heard a few interesting theories. One of them was by Tony Sayers. He's a British podcaster British podcaster living in, I think it's Mexico at the moment. And he did a podcast about it, and I was kind of like, wow, that's scary. However, it kind of also makes a bit of sense. So the theory is that when you are in your life, and you see like movies talking about following the white light and the tunnel of light, or you know, people seeing it when they have a near-death experience, for example, and you're supposed to go to it. And I've heard that that's a trap to actually harvest your soul to bring you back here. So the whole concept of like, I don't want this to be true, by the way. This isn't my theory, and this isn't something that I want to be true.
No, I hear you.
I'm just very curious about the idea of it. So this whole spiritual enlightenment path that we're heading towards at the moment of reincarnation and going through certain things for life lessons, and you know, you're supposed to come back here and have maybe 10 lives, maybe 100 lives, until you evolve to a place where you can reconnect with the universe and be at one, or go to another realm, for example, and live out lessons there. Apparently that's like a psyop, so that you believe that, so that when you die, you follow the white light, which is a trap, and then you come back here and you just reharvested your energy, your soul, so that they don't need to deal with any fresh souls that come. And I don't know exactly the whole reasoning behind it, but yeah. And then I watched an interesting thing. Do you ever remember Lennon Honor, Brandon? Remember Lennon Honor? He went on Mark Passio's show.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar.
Yeah, Lennon Honor. So he actually posted a few things from Star Trek, and a lot of times Star Trek had some hidden messages, or blatantly open messages, I guess you could say. And one of them was where, I don't know the names of the characters because I don't watch Star Trek, but a lady dies and she goes onto this ship, and then there's a man there who is her father, and he's trying to convince her to go to this tunnel behind him, and he's saying, you know, you need to come with us now. This is what happens when you die, you know. And she starts getting all really suspicious and saying, this doesn't seem right. In fact, I don't even think that you're my father. You're not him, are you? You're just a being pretending to be him so that I do what you tell me to do. And I go with you. And she's not actually dead at this point. She's in this sort of realm between the living and the dead. So she hasn't fully passed over, and she's not still alive. And then the clips cut to her body on the floor of them trying to revive her, and they're talking to her, and they've got lights around her and looking in her eyes and things. And she's trying to work out whether, you know, it's the right thing to do to follow this being. And it turns out she presses him so hard that he ends up getting really angry and showing his true form. And he's saying, you will come with us into our matrix one day. If it's not now, you will go into our matrix. And I think it's actually the name of the episode is something to do with the Matrix. The name of it is Matrix of Death or something like that. I can't remember anyway. So the theory is that when you see your family members when you pass away, they're actually these beings that pretend to be family so that you feel safe and do what you're told, and like, you know, do whatever they say. So if they say you need to reincarnate now and go back into this life and do these lessons, you have got a soul contract, and you listen to them because you think that they're your deceased relatives. Yeah, so that sounds a bit dark. I don't want to like dampen the mood of the podcast or anything, but it's just another theory that I would like to discuss because I've heard about it, and apparently there's some ancient scriptures that say don't follow the white light, it's a trap and things like that. And you know, apparently you can break through the fold of that matrix with the power of your thoughts also, by realizing that that's a matrix. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh no, I totally, I hear you. I watched that video actually that you sent me. I thought it was very fascinating, and
I sent it to you, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a really big Star Trek fan. I think that was Discovery or something, one of those side ones that they did. I can't remember. I don't think I watched that particular one a bunch, but I did watch it a few times. And I think that sorry, I'm just trying to adjust some effects here, see if we can. No, that's not it. Let me try one more thing and then show user automatically. All right, I don't want to derail the show. Anyway, so I think that there's a lot of truth in there, but I think that there's a little bit of victim narrative in there too. The way that I think about it is I think that it is possible, because I've heard that too about the white light, that
I'll have to. Okay.
and I heard it from Fortune Day Saint Germain. Sharon's gonna laugh when she hears that one. He was on Crow 777, and he said that from what he understands, after you die, there's a white light or whatever, or tunnel, but you could, if you don't have fear, you could turn around, and that's the point where somebody like a Jesus or Krishna, Buddha, whatever, comes to aid you. And I think it goes back to what I was saying, right? So as you cross over, if you're going fear and you see a white light in a tunnel, you might run toward it, right? Because you're scared or you don't know what to do. But if you're not afraid, you could say, wait a minute, hang on, let me turn around. Let me check out where I am. Let me assess this situation. Just like in normal life, if an accident or something crazy happens, you could freak out, or you could stop and look around and try to assess your situation. And I think with that, then you could choose maybe a different place to go, or even come back if you want to choose consciously to do it. And I think that that there's really nothing to be scared of. And I don't think it's like a trap, right? I think it's more something that it's an experience we kind of signed up for on some level. We're very conscious on some level of what we're going through. And that's another stage that you go through. Maybe it's like another test or whatever. And if you get it right, maybe then you ascend to the next level of consciousness or whatever it is, right? But I just don't like when they say soul trap. I see what they're saying, but it just sounds so victimy to me, because nothing I see in this realm leads me to believe that anybody can really do anything to you unless you consent to it. Now, you could still get killed and all this stuff, but a lot of times, even on some level, that could be some level of consent, because it's about who the people you associate with and all this stuff. I mean, but whatever. I'm not here to try to make judgments, but I mean, at the highest level, there's some kind of consent that has to be done. So maybe not in this physical realm all the time, but since there's as above, so below things going on here, it's like, they didn't really force anybody to get an experimental medical serum. Everybody I know that got it, that didn't want to, made the choice because of several reasons, a job or a spouse or whatever. They had this pressure that they gave into a fear or whatever it was. I don't want to sound like I'm making judgments. I'm sure it's a hard choice for some people to make, but they ultimately did the same thing with covering your smiling faces. Me and you didn't cover our smiling faces, and that really had no repercussions except for a couple people giving us a hard time, or having to, in your case, talk to a cop or whatever. But still, they even knew that as long as you said the right things and you said you have an exemption, there's really nothing they can do. So there, I'd walk into a restaurant with people and I would turn around and all of a sudden the people I came with like had their masks on. I'm like, what just happened? Like, you see, I don't have one, right? Like, and I remember actually,
it's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hey,
I went
guys.
hiking with some friends. This is funny because, so I went hiking with some friends in 2020, probably, and these are a couple of people I went to high school with, and one of their boyfriends or whatever was there too. He's a cool guy. And all of them were like kind of against the mask. They kind of thought it was stupid or whatever. And then we went to a restaurant afterwards. And this is when they were really strict on the mask thing. And I walked in and I'm like, I'm just not going to wear a mask. And the lady's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like, and it was kind of slow. At that time, we were there early in that restaurant. Not that it's really expensive. It's like a seafood place, but it's really good stuff and it's kind of expensive. So they didn't want to turn us away either, especially in 2020, because no one was going out, really. So
yeah,
I was just like, I have an exemption. They're like, all right, cool. They're just like, whatever. And so we all went to the table.
We even had that excuse to use as a choice, if that makes sense, is also astounding to me. But please continue.
Oh yeah, totally. So we go to the table and they're just like friends I was with, because I didn't really go out that much in 2020. I just went to the woods, if I was going out, or I'd go to the grocery store, and they were like dumbfounded. They were just like astounded, but we didn't really talk about it. And then this year, I went hiking with a friend, same friend, but it was just me and her. And I went to high school with her. I've known her for a long time, and it was really cool. We were talking, and she said, I just want to say something. I forgot to say. She's like, I just want to tell you that you're my hero. Like, remember when we went to that restaurant and you didn't put a mask on? She's like, I thought you were like a freaking ninja. I was like, oh, thank you. She's like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, I was like, well, she's had kids, so maybe, that was more important, but you know what I mean? Yeah, she was just like, that was amazing. And I'm like, thank you. It
Well,
felt nice to have that because as
well,
people who are contrary to society. Oh, you're there. I shut your video
yeah,
off.
if I could cut in, Brandon. First of
Yeah.
all, I wanted to say I saw every single episode of Star Trek Voyager, and I heard everything about the conversation, and I remember where that clip was from. It was Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager,
Yep.
and it's in the context of they're trying to go on this massive journey on all the other side of the universe or whatever, oh, hang on, let me fix my video. Okay, there we go. But anyway, so she's in that huge journey, and they're trying to catch her soul because they need her to go to like some slave planet where they basically take all the shipwrecked ships and stuff. So, I mean, read that how you will, but like it doesn't necessarily apply to the soul, but they are trying to tell you that, like there are people out there who could feed on your soul and stuff like that. And another thing about it too is, I mean, it is a choice, just like with the vaccine thing. And even now, the hardcore pro vaccine people are admitting, like, hey, we didn't force you to take it. You weren't required to take it. You were simply told that, hey, you should consider it or whatever. So see how they switch that around, where it's like not really your choice, but then once they realize they can't enforce it, it is a choice. And I wanted to credit you in that you gave the example to people around you that you can make the opposite choice. And we all play our part in that. Like, for instance, anytime I could, I would always say, like, I'm exempt. And, like, if they really, really fought over it, I would put a mask on. But I literally printed a mask that said, fuck masks. So it literally had my face on it and it said, fuck masks. So I mean, you have to make the choices to just like subvert it however you can, because they don't have the right to tell us that we have to in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so glad you stepped in with the Star Trek information as well, because I probably wasn't explaining it that well. So
I love those shows back in the day. I love those shows because they do hide information in there. Like it's literally they're showing you like what they can do, and it's like a safe way of telling you what's going on outside of the news. So they call it science fiction because it's actually fact.
Yeah, and then they can't say, "Oh, we didn't tell you." Like we did tell you, you just didn't listen. You just weren't paying attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, or they're trying to wake us up.
Well, someone is, it seems like. I really do. And it's getting to the point now where they're like, we're literally telling you line by line in every single movie that comes out into the cinemas. And you still are not getting it. Where, I can just imagine someone standing there going, what are we literally saying it line by line in every scene?
How many times you got to see The Matrix, lady? Come on.
I know, it's like pretty soon it's getting to the point where they're gonna say like, we're gonna put all your brains inside of mechabots and you have to be in a mechabot because a human body is so dangerous and we want to live forever and blah blah blah. And there again it ties into the original idea. All these people are scared and they want to live, so they want to force other people to get vaccinated so they can live, because they're terrified of dying. Whereas we're not terrified of dying. We're just like, fuck you, kill me then, bitch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what freedom is. It's fuck you, kill me then, bitch.
Yeah, 100%. You're right.
Caribe Root in the chat. She said, you go, Sammy.
I know, really.
And then Mr.
Somebody has
Miyagi.
to.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Miyagi says I shy away from fiction. I get that too, but that actually reminded me of something I wanted to talk about in this episode, which was Tolkien. So like Lord of the Rings universe. And if you look at his other expanded works like the Silmarillion and then the appendices for the Lord of the Rings, they talk about the Númenóreans and the men's that were the original kings, the line from where Aragorn comes from. And he talked about, oh, Lewis is here, by the way. He says,
Oh,
hello,
hi,
Brandon.
Lewis.
Hello, Kayleigh. Lewis is Kayleigh's son.
Aw,
Yeah.
hey.
Awesome. He's a legend too. He doesn't wear no mask. I like that guy.
Yeah,
So
he's not mandated either.
yeah, Lewis said no to the experimental medical serum. Good for him. So I think that oh look, Paraplegic Bear's here too. Did I give him a shout out? Shout out to Paraplegic Bear. He can get his coffee. I don't know, hit me up and I'll give you his number. But yeah, he's got really good coffee. He sent me some. I still got to send him some money probably. Remind me, dude. I keep forgetting Paraplegic. Just let me know, whatever. Give you a little donation for the support and the coffee. Thank you. He says, I got removed physically, carried off an Alaska air flight for telling the steward that the Rona cooties would be dispersed through the plane when everyone takes off the mask to eat. Oh, he said when everyone takes off their mask to eat. He's in Paraplegic Bear. He's in a wheelchair because he got a lot of people that know Owen Benjamin. He's like famous in Owen Benjamin, or somebody in the chat is actually like, are you the paraplegic that Owen always makes fun of? Or like, I've had plenty of laughs at your expense. So nice to meet you. Yeah, it's all in good fun.
I'm trying to put this up to the camera so you can see it. It's that fuck mask.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so you can see, like, I would put that on every time I would go in an Uber, and they would tell me, like, no, you have to put the mask. I'm like, okay, fuck masks, and then my face on it. And they'd be like, you have a mask with your face on it? I'm like, yep, I'm me. You don't know who I am.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I feel like the Uber drivers were the worst during that time, if I'm honest. Like, they were the most finicky about it. I'd get in an Uber and even I would be a bit like, should I cover with the scarf right now? Because I got somewhere to go and he's not happy.
I would always just be like, I'm exempt and I'm disabled and I need all my air. And like 9 out of 10 would be like, yeah, that's cool.
I got to that, like, what happened in the 1%? Was he just like, no, not having any of it? I don't care.
I remember I went into, oh, go ahead.
The one guy was like, oh, I'm getting filmed by Uber. If I don't make you do it, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, they always say that shit. I went into like it was like a takeout place. It didn't even have chairs. You just basically walk in. It's the smaller room as a pizza place. They have a counter and like they make pizzas and all kinds of other food. And I was just there to pick up my food. And the lady behind there was like, you need a mask. And I'm like, I'm exempt. And I'm like, you know what? I go, all you guys don't have masks on. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I just grabbed my food and walked out. And the next time I went in there, she didn't say a goddamn word to me. It was so funny. Because everyone was laughing. They're all like, oh shit, he's right. Because I guess they had him down or someone was on the phone. Like they just all for some reason didn't have them on. You know, they were supposed to, but I called them all out and they're like, okay.
Like, look, Brandon, I could get it if there were literally people that would die right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like from the germs. Like I would actually care about it. Like, but it's like it's not deadly. It's literally just an ordinary cold, flu, whatever that YouTube requires us to say, all that shit, etc. But I mean, it's like, God damn it, it's just a normal fucking disease. Let's fucking handle the disease and get the fuck on from here. You know what I mean?
Hey, you'd be surprised to know that me and Lewis did wear masks at some times, by the way. And the reason why we wore masks is to evade police and CCTV during a protest.
Hell yeah. I feel so bad for you, Kayleigh. I hear horrible things about Australia. And it reminds me of that Simpsons episode that where they made fun of Australia, and your prime minister complained about it and wanted them to take it off of TV.
Oh, it was
That's
rough,
hilarious.
but looking back on it, it was actually so fun as well. You know, when you look back on things, you're like, wow, we made some memories there, getting shot by the police with rubber bullets, and they were pinning people to the floor. Like, at the time, it was scary. Now I was just like, that was actually really fun. Like, I'm glad I went through it.
You're just such a dissonant legend. Paraplegic Bear says his phone number, coffee's available. Text or call him at 410-708-7622 for some delicious paraplegic coffee. Yeah, so he gets kicked off a plane. That's hilarious too. And he's, like I said, he's paraplegic. He got shot. Owen Benjamin would tell you that he got shot trying to buy crack in Baltimore. But I think he was getting robbed is probably what was going on. And yeah, so he's a good dude though. I follow him.
Off the plane for not wearing a mask.
No, because he told that, yeah, he wasn't going to wear a mask. And he said that, you know, the corona basically is going to get spread when everyone takes their mask down to eat anyway. It's like, what the hell? And then
It's true. It's absolutely true. And if more people took that stance that he did, then we would have a different place, wouldn't we? I mean, there was 2 moments where I honestly, because I wouldn't get mandated and things, I honestly was facing the prospect of getting deported from here because, Sami, I'm not actually Australian. I haven't got residency or anything. So I took a lot of risks during COVID with that. And I was just kind of like, nah, I'm still not doing it. And then Lewis went back to England.
Even worse. I swear to God, England is horrible, man. I feel bad for y'all for that. Knife license, mate. You must get your knife license. Because like I know, right? You literally have to get a fucking knife license. That'd be horrible. Hell no, I'm not getting no kitchen knife license.
England was better than Australia during COVID, though. I'll tell you that it was a lot better. But Lewis flew back to England, and the government here in Australia said, "Yeah, well, you can't get in unless you're vaccinated now. So see ya." And we were just like, "Oh, shit. He's there. I'm here. None of us are mandated." I should have used that word instead.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
None of us are mandated, and I was like, "Oh no, we're okay."
They turned you into Palestinians overnight. You can't even get it nowhere. They're like, "Nope, you're not from here. Go away."
100%, but we still didn't do it. We were sat there for ages thinking, yeah, it's been 6 months and we still don't know what we're going to do, but we're still not mandated, so we know that.
Well, can you sneak back in through Calais? I mean, just go with the fucking asylum seekers. Be like, "Oh, I'm seeking asylum in England. I am. I don't know." Bloody hell, mate.
Tell them he's part of a child trafficking ring, and they'll open the doors fully at the airport, won't they?
I know,
right? Oh, that's hilarious.
Get one of my people to be y'all's coyote. Just go over there. Yeah, we're coming to England. You know, hello, welcome. Okay, door open.
I love the accents.
Yeah, I try.
But again, do the English accent again now.
Oi, mate, you need your knife license. Go watch some Channel 4.
Bloody hell. Bloody
hell, mate.
Bloody hell.
I can't do the American accent. The amount of movies I've watched in my life and everything, still can't do it. So,
I'm so sorry.
My name's Brandon, and welcome to the show. And
you got it. You got it. That's how we sound. That's what it sounds like.
You're nailing it right now.
You're Californian. We'll sneak you in over here. You'll be illegal over here. It'd be cool.
Yeah, just be like, "Give me a hamburger."
Be like, "Oi, mate, where's the bloody hamburger around here?"
Oi, mate, where's the hamburgers, like?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like the southern accent. The southern accent. People out in the South talk like this, you know. Like,
I knew. You know what I mean? I love that.
We all doing down there.
I love how they sound. Oh my God.
What y'all doing down there?
I know, right?
Yeah, that's a great accent. I love the Southern accent. I spent some time down south in my lovely Marine Corps career, and I love going down there. The people down there, they're just even when we go out in the Midwest, like people, it's just anywhere away from Connecticut, they're just friendly. It's crazy. Like here, people are just fucking weird, man. I don't know. And I'm weird, and I think they're weird. It's like, come on, dude. They just ignore, like straight up ignore you. It's so funny. It's like,
because we live near the Big Apple, though. Is this something to do with that?
no, well, that's the funny thing. I was just gonna say this too, synchronicity, because if you go to New York, people, they at least, well, it's a little different now because it's like kind of liberalish, but like people will tell you to fuck off, or they'll like look at you or whatever it is. But like in Connecticut, they just ignore you. Like it's just a whole different thing. It's crazy. I'm like, dude. Yeah, like they won't hold, sometimes people don't hold the door like when you're walking in the store. And I don't even think it's on purpose. They're just so in their own world, in their head.
Yeah.
Like, and so sometimes if I'm going into like a convenience store somewhere where there's a regular open door, if somebody doesn't hold the door for me, or I've done this in the past, I just walk into it really loud and like, oh, and then everybody around them looks at them like they're an idiot, you know, and they feel like a jerk. Oh, it's so funny. I used to love doing that.
You're making a statement.
Yeah, like Kramer, like from Seinfeld. I'm just like, oh, like knocking into the door, and I'm like a giant, so it's hilarious. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while though, but I haven't had the chance. I totally would do it again though.
Oh, I wish you could film that when you do it next time. That would be brilliant.
I just got COVID from this door.
I got just licking the door.
Yeah,
like it's a Christmas story.
Yeah, exactly. That's
hilarious. Imagine going to the doctors and being like, "Oh, I've got COVID from a door." I know where I got it from. It was that door. It was a damn door. I know.
That guy didn't hold the door. Now I'm putting my grandmother at risk. That guy killed my grandmother by not holding the door. No, my grandmother's already.
I know, right?
Oh man, yeah, but I don't know, dude. I think it's just like Kayleigh said. It's a fun time to be alive, to experience all this stuff, and actually live for something, or stand for something, or just do the right thing, you know. And I think that's really going to help where we go after we die. Go ahead.
Hell yeah, that's what it's about, Brandon. I mean, you know, representing what we really mean, being real about what we're saying, not playing bullshit games with words. Like, that's something that I can't stand anymore. It's just people that like to take whatever someone says and reword it and flip it around and be like, well, what about this? And, you know, like, that's part of, I would say that's hell, because it's like, it's that same Satanist kind of legalistic kind of wordplay game, to the point where that's basically what the legal system is, you know, and the judge represents death because he's got a black robe on, and, you know, finding people guilty and weighing your heart with the scales of justice and all that crap.
Against the feather of Mayotte.
Yep.
Another Egyptian reference.
I know.
Sammy's
it
dad's
always ties back to that fucking place. I don't know why, man.
Yeah.
I know the real Egyptian were Scottish, like my mom, not fucking Egyptian like the people who's there now. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Scots for sure. That, oh man, that whole thing goes back in the Irish too.
The second looked just like James True. That's what's so scary. He's just Ramses the Second with a YouTube. Oh my god.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my god, it's so true.
I just thought of something with the Egyptians. Like, there's only a few select people who can translate the hieroglyphics, right? So how do we know that a lot of the stuff is what they say it is? I don't know anyone who can read hieroglyphics. Do you?
Yeah, nope. No, I think it was all you know, taken and mistranslated and all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. But what are you gonna do? It's the cycle of life, right? Speaking of life and death.
Well, and then that goes again back to the original thing, is that, you know, even in history, these places got conquered. The French wanted Syria so bad because that's actually where the French came from. was in Syria, so they wanted to go back to their old stomping grounds and see what their ancestors had left there. And the British wanted Egypt and Palestine so much because they actually came from there and wanted to learn more about like where they came from and shit. So they had to conquer that land so they could go and do the archaeology and dig it up and find all that shit. And that's really what drives a lot of this historical shit. Like Ukraine right now, Russia doesn't want to lose all that ancestral area. And then like there's other ancestral area having to do with the Khazarians and shit. So they don't want like NATO to find all that and then use it against them to like destroy Russia and shit. So like that kind of drives everything. It's like everybody's trying to go back in history and fix something, and it just leads to more death and destruction and pointlessness. And you know, isn't it crazy how that is, you know?
Sounds like a psyop to me.
I know, right?
It's just a good way to get good men into a field and LARP and kill each other, just like every war that we know about, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Get all the able-bodied men into a field somewhere and LARP.
But yeah, but see how they're doing it though. They're using the lure of, oh, you might find out things about the past that will solve your questions. But it ends up just leading to them dying.
Exactly. So Paraplegic Bear of Owen Benjamin Bear fame and coffee fame says, can I ask what his disability is? I need to know why he's stealing my handicapped attention. Tell him I'll fight him.
No, I'm a quadriplegic, so I got all four of my limbs fucked up. I got cerebral palsy.
Oh,
I ain't really like wrapped up in it though. Like I was born with it, so for me it's normal. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like I'm not tripping about it.
No cripple fighting.
Whatever. Like I mean, if you want to do like a fucking disabled fighting league, I'm with that, but I don't really want to do that myself, to be honest with you.
It could be like Crash Up Derby.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, I ain't that type of guy. Shit, I like to smoke weed, just chill, and listen to some bum thugs.
Yeah, dude, you guys should do a live stream together on his Instagram. He's always live on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
Down, I definitely do it.
What's your Instagram handle, Sammy?
It's fucking Sami 7777. It used to be Sami Ahmed 7777, but that got banned. Fucking Instagram, goddamn them. Oh well.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, Paraplegic, hit him up. I'm sure he'll love to do a live stream. I think that'd be interesting because you guys could have a fake
fighting league is not in the cards for me though. I'm cool.
Nice. That's hilarious.
I think it's great having you on, Sammy. I'm really having a right laugh with you. Yeah, I think you're funny.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of what I do. I like to make people laugh and I like to make people feel comfortable, you know? Like when I talk with people, I don't really like to like be like combative and shit because it's all about the discussion, you know? It's being able to like talk about ideas and think about them and, you know, observe how they make us feel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, totally. 100%. I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I just like, are you like smoking green stuff there, Brandon?
No, this is tobacco.
Oh, okay.
I might have allegedly smoked a little earlier, but I'm down. Like I used to smoke daily, but now every once in a while at night I will now. I've cut because I took a month off to reset my tolerance, and now I actually get high again, allegedly. So I figured this live stream would be a good chance to do that and have a fun chat. But yeah, now this is just tobacco right now, though, for real. I get my own organic tobacco leaves from a place, and I just cut them up all myself. And yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
Nice. That's organic as fuck, man. Like you're literally cutting it up yourself. That's cool shit.
Yeah,
I just
totally.
had to laugh earlier, bit off topic. Brandon, you lifted up your knee and your pants. I was like, I wasn't expecting you to be wearing those pants with what you got on now. And then I thought about my own knee, and then I was like, no one's gonna expect that I'll be wearing with this jumper what I'm wearing now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Zoomerverse. You only have to dress up from like the waist up. Actually, earlier I was doing wedding meetings because I'm a wedding DJ, and I was doing like a final planning meeting with people on Zoom, and I was sitting here, but I had pajama pants on that were striped. So I was like talking, and then I went like this, and I realized, and it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, yeah, these are just like sweatpants. I actually got them when I did jujitsu for a few months. I really liked it. I just didn't have like so much going on, but I got these sweatpants, and they're so awesome. So at least I got those.
I don't
yeah.
even know what I was expecting you to wear with that shirt, like maybe some jeans or something like that. But it's like, I was like, you can't fucking talk, Kay. What are you?
You do
Your pants
look
are
like a jeans type of guy, Brandon.
You know, it's
Yeah,
funny.
you
I
know,
haven't
like-
worn jeans in about 3 years. How crazy is that? Like I wear just like cotton like pants, or I have like a pair of this other kind of like not like dress pants, but you know, just like khakis, but not khaki, like either like a blue or whatever. But recently I've been wearing that or like black pants, and it's funny because I don't know. I just fell out of love with jeans for some reason. I was just like,
Yeah,
I don't like them.
Me too. Like I haven't worn jeans for about 6 years or something like that. I just didn't like them. I only just bought some some black jeans, and then a week ago I bought the blue denim jeans, and I was like, wow, what am I doing? Is this even me? And I looked in the mirror and I was like wearing jeans. And I was like, I don't know if I like this or not. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
not
what it
a
was.
jeans matter.
Something about them, it just kind of like fell away from me. It's weird, but
Yes, no. I'm
I
not
like to
judging
wear-
jeans wearers, by the way. If you all wear jeans, then great, they look good on you. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
they're
don't like the
comfortable.
feeling of them.
We get it. They're good to do working and stuff. I totally understand. But yeah, it's just, you know, I'm a trendsetter. I got to be ahead of these trends. Yeah, it's funny. Somebody says, "Oh, Mr. Miyagi said I'm a Carhartt man." Nice, nice. So we got. Oh, he also says I'm on a 6-day layoff off the herbs. Good for you. Yeah, it's always good to take time off to reset your tolerance, but whatever, wherever you're at, listen, I get it. As long as you're whatever you got to do to not stick a gun in your mouth. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm not judging you.
Hey, that sounds a little harsh, eh?
Hey, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Listen, I know people who've done that, so you know.
Well, let me just say this. I don't smoke weed every day, but I smoke weed every night. Smoke weed every night.
Smoke weed every night. Yeah, that's where the virgin comes in. Yeah, I like it.
Is my son still online, Brandon?
Good question. I haven't seen him chat in a while. I don't know if he's in here though. He could still be. Lewis, are you still in here?
Yo, is paraplegic Bear offering me coffee?
I think he
I'm
is.
down. I'll take them.
Yeah, dude. He put his number. Put your number in there again, paraplegic. I could scroll back to it.
Shit, I have my address for where to mail me stuff on my website at sami-ahmed.net. You know,
There you
just
go.
send it on that down there. I'm cool. I'll get some coffee. I'll try that.
I just copied his phone number. I'll put it in the chat. Our not. Oh, it's already in the chat, but I'll put it in the Zoom chat.
Hell yeah, that sounds cool.
All right.
Shit.
Awesome.
Yeah, when I was out before, I kind of changed my background to just advertise my friend's thing. He has this thing where you can create a wallet and he'll just airdrop you free crypto up to 7 times a day. It's called pinball.cash. It's pretty cool. It's for like some older cryptos that are not really managed by anybody, and he kind of just picked them up. Like, you know how like when people squat in abandoned houses and turn them into stuff? And he kind of created like a wallet where it'll airdrop the stuff to you, and you can buy stuff on there. Actually, there's people that sell like like basically like THC stuff and like CBD stuff and like healing herbs and mushrooms and shit. It's
Ooh.
pinball.cash.
Oh, I
Check
like
it
it.
out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's stuff like that where these breakaway societies are going to happen. And as long as you stay out of despair and you don't try to compete with the government or whatever, you know, we're just going to end up like the Amish. I was saying this earlier, I think before you were on, Kayleigh, and I was saying how I see like these breakaway societies happening, and we're going to be just, you know, like the Amish, and like maybe people in the world, they'll be like technologically advanced, and they'll be like in the in that virtual reality world, but then they'll pop out of it to be like, hey, let's go check out these guys. Let's go, like the people go see the Amish for the, you know, for the weekend or whatever. They'll visit Pennsylvania. They'll be like, let's go see these guys. You know, like look at them. They're like hanging out and living near the woods, and they grow their own food. Wow, look at these people, you know. And then they'll go home and get in their cars or whatever. They'll buy stuff from us, you know. Like I think it'll be more like that.
Yeah, you know what? And to your point, Brandon, the guy that created pinball.cash, my friend Whalebone, you should interview him because he's kind of doing that. Like he has his chicken farm, and you can buy dozens of eggs on his site, and you can also do a bunch of other stuff with triangles, which is the coin that he originally created that site for. And it's all very homegrown and very like grassroots and real. Like I know him as a person, and like he'd be a great person to interview. He has a
Yeah.
lot of stories too. He's a really good guy, and he's pretty based, but he's not like crazy about anything. Like he's very into like explaining about technology and showing like how we can use it in our lives to like get away from the system, you know, like so he'd be another person to ask. Like he has multiple places in Detroit that like he bought it at the worst time when everything was all fucked up, and he turned it into what he calls urban prairie. Like there's like deers and chickens, and he's got like all these cats and dogs that he takes care of, and like it is kind of that breakaway society if you think about it, you know what I mean?
That is amazing because I've heard of something like that. Somebody that was, I think, at Anarchadelphia or whatever, there was a guy that was killed by the police or whatever, and his girlfriend was talking about it. But they did that. They went to Detroit, and they were just living. I don't think he got killed in Detroit because the police don't give a shit. They just took over these abandoned houses, and they're running it like without being connected to the grid or whatever. They're just figuring it out. And
Yeah, exactly. What they usually want is just that you don't call them and don't demand a bunch of stuff for them. But if you keep yourself quiet and just kind of just do your thing, nobody's gonna bother you. Like they just want to see it get developed again and stuff.
yeah, exactly. I think that's amazing. I'm gonna mute Kayleigh because back. Yep. I muted you. Hang on. I muted you, Kayleigh. Oops, I just do it again. You're gonna have to unmute yourself again, Kayleigh, because there you go. Nope, one more time. It's like we were locked in a battle of like when someone gets in the car. I think you're still muted. You know, when you go to get in a car and somebody opens the handle as you unlock the door and it locks it or whatever. I think that's just what happened with us because I was clicking the ask to unmute button. Yeah, you're still muted. Oh, okay. We want to hear you singing.
I wasn't even talking. I was just doing.
I thought you were singing.
No, I was like, bah, 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 bah. I just like, I went to turn the heating off because it's like so hot. So yeah, why did you mute me? Because you could hear me messing about with the windows or something.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on. I thought we were getting some kind of feedback, but it ended up being Sami.
Oh.
So yeah.
What you was talking about, something I was going to make a point. Oh, so you know about these alternative communities and things like that. Like, I think the breakaway communities are going to happen. Lewis said, "I'm still in the stream." So yeah, when you were talking about weed and stuff, I was like, is my son still here?
Yeah. Listen, if he's smart enough to not cover smiling face, I'm sure he could handle that hurdle however he has to in his own life. You know, it's a tool. It's like a hammer. You can use it to smash your face in, or you can use it to build yourself a house. You know, it's like,
I know I was just going to talk about the time when I smoked it, but now I can't. So it's all good.
no, I know.
So I think that the breakaway communities, yeah, I think they're a consent-based thing as well, because a lot of people say, oh, well, they're just going to come in with guns and shoot you and I'm storming. I'm just like, I don't know if they actually can do that though. You know, and we're going to know all rights and all common law and all that. So we're just going to be like, you have no authority to trespass according to section blah, 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 blah of charter, whatever. You know, it's going to be a headache. I'm not going to lie.
Well,
a few headaches.
Even above that, though, if you're not giving them a reason, you know, if you're not out there like threatening people and saying you're going to go like cause a revolution and trying to fight the government, if you're just doing your own thing, they have enough things to worry about right now. So they're looking for the people who are trying to compete with them or trying to like.
Yeah, but they're going to make these new laws, aren't they, about you not being able to have like farm animals, chickens, cattle, and all that, because it's against the climate change thing, you know, because of the methane, or, you know, it's messing with the climate. You can't have a diesel generator, for example, because it messes with the climate. So we will be doing things that technically break the rules or the law in their eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, I hear you. But they still haven't passed any of that. In some countries, I think they're trying to, like in where was it, not in Germany but somewhere around there, and people were just like, farmers were like protesting and flipping out. I think it's just it's a psyop, really. I think they try to grab your attention and scare you with what can come, and then they somehow it gets implemented in one country so everybody thinks it's coming to them soon, and their belief in it might manifest it. But I think that they realize all that stuff is done now. They're just kind of still standing behind it. So when the flip comes, they could have somebody to blame and have an enemy, you know, and yell at and get mad at, instead of working on yourself. So they'll have bad guys and they'll have their own good guys too, you know, like, so it just keeps that battery going. But I don't really see that, you know, I mean, yeah, it's maybe in some cities or whatever, but I don't think there's a level of things that they could do, because they know people would, you know, had enough and they'll just kind of freak out. And so I think it's more of a story that they're telling. Great story if you're into that, but you know, they do it very well. But that's what I think all these psyops are about too. It's the same thing. It's just like, we'll have no idea what they really want to do. They don't tell us ever what they really want to do. We think we get the documents and Agenda 2030 and all this stuff. That's what they want us to think they're going to do. They have another plan. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's why I don't worry about any of that stuff, because most of it doesn't even come to fruition. You know, they just keep hammering.
Yeah. Well, see, if I may cut in, I'm sorry, Kayleigh, but I was just gonna say, it kind of goes back to the original point of the live. Again, these people know we're afraid of death, so they're not going to tell us like, yo, we're planning to kill most of you and start a new era and brainwash the people that were left, that you didn't even exist, and blah, 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 blah. Because if most people heard that, they would go psycho, and then suddenly all this shit wouldn't exist anymore. So, I mean, they've got to soften the blow. They're going to make us believe we're going into like fucking tiny houses and getting, you know, food slop from the government like we're pigs and shit. When in reality, they're planning to off most of us by like just, you know, whatever bullshit. But even so, like, that makes life more valuable. It means like, as long as we're here, let's live it to the fullest. You know what I mean? And that's how I represent. I mean, honestly, I want, as long as I'm here, I want people to know that I was me. You know, like, I'm not somebody else's conception of what I'm supposed to be. I was myself.
Yeah, your authentic self. Speaking about like death and depopulation, new King Charles, apparently he's the king of that agenda, I've been hearing. He loves the depopulation stuff. Now he's king. Yay!
Fucking,
Really, there we go.
fucking lizard family. They're lizards.
Yeah, apparently she was dead years ago or a year ago or something like that. She was already dead. The
She
queen.
probably died when they killed Philip or whatever the fuck. Who cares?
What do you mean killed Philip? Ooh, tell us about that. I haven't heard that before.
Well, supposedly he died at 99 and it added up to 99 in gematria and all. Like, there's a bunch of shit connected to that shit where they do it on dates and it's all connected to their name and like who they are and their position. But see, I think that's part of the psyop too, because they're just trying to make us think like, oh, these are actual real people. As far as I'm concerned, she's probably a lizard hologram, and so is he. And Charles is probably a lizard hologram, and he probably just didn't want a human woman. That's why he got rid of Diana and got what's her name? Camilla Parker Bowles. I swear to God. That's ugly. She's got fucked up teeth and she's fucking evil. And you choose her over fucking Diana? Like, come on. But then again, Diana's probably a psyop. Who knows? Like, I don't know if she was really.
I know. You don't know, do you? And especially with that series, The Crown. I don't know if you guys have that on American TV, but it was just basically portraying the life of the royals. But I saw a picture of Camilla and it looked like she had a mask on. Someone sent it because you can see a line like here, you know, when you have those masks and it hasn't connected properly. So you just don't know. You don't know what's real and what's not. I saw a picture of the Queen as well.
I know. We were just talking before you were here too about how a lot of what I watch now is just literally people walking around in cities showing you what's there, like travel bloggers that literally just show you what's there. Because to me, that's like knocking on wood. That's something you can't fake. Like, it's literally what's there. It's not even like trying to like put interpretations on anything. It's just like, okay, here's a restaurant, here's this, here's a hotel, here's what's in the hotel. You know, like, honestly, that's the type of stuff that keeps me centered and keeps me grounded, because so much of this stuff really is speculation. It will drive you crazy. Like, if you dedicate your whole essence to it, like, it'll make it impossible to just be like fixed. Like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this, you know, like. And I think that's part of the control mechanism too. They don't want us to focus.
Yeah, they want the attention. They want our attention no matter how they what we can get it. But I think we should keep our attention as our own, you know.
I know. And yet again, here's another part of me is that I can connect it to that Simpsons episode where the ads are attacking the town and they come up with a song where they're like, if you want the ad to go away, just don't look, just don't look. And they tell them, don't look at it. And suddenly all these things stop working and they can't smash any more stuff because they just fall over because nobody's looking at them.
Yeah, that's exactly. They're just telling you right there, right? It's like a it's like a archetype of a hero, same kind of thing you see in these movies like The Matrix and stuff. Well, we've been going for about 2 hours and 35 minutes. No, probably, well, I think streaming for 2.5 hours now. So I think we could probably wrap it up soon. But is there anything else that we didn't talk about concerning death and all that stuff you wanted to wrap up with? Either of you guys? Kayleigh, I'll give you the floor first since you've been here the shortest amount of time.
I already said about my thing, the soul trap, soul harvesting.
What do you think about what I said about it?
That basically you can choose to not look at the light and you can turn around. I agree with that because I've heard that too. And I think if you just, like you said, don't be scared and then have a little look around and be like, oh yeah, I don't know. I want to go there instead. Because apparently when you die, your consciousness, when you think, you just do it. Like, so if you have a thought or a place where you want to be, apparently you just go there. Do you know what I mean? Like your thoughts they just are. I can't explain it properly. Like
You
if I think
manifest it
about
kind of.
yeah, instantly though, like it's an instant thing. So if you're using your discernment and you're just thinking and being like, oh yeah, what about that place there? Then it'll just happen rather than fixating on this one thing and focusing your attention on the white light. Maybe, do what you said, have a look around. But to wrap it up, I honestly do feel that the whole reincarnation to learn your life lessons and things, I do feel that is why we're here. I don't think that that's a like evil operation, if that makes sense. Like that feels to me, that resonates with me really well. So yeah, that's my 2 cents worth of it.
I totally agree. What do you think, Sam?
I definitely think that there's something to that. I do think that I don't think it works like where you have to like get through purgatory and all that stuff. I was kind of telling my uncle, because he's been kind of like, when I talk to him, he kind of like puts in the little Catholic stuff and the whole purgatory and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think there is that. I think whatever there is, like it's created by your actions and by how you are as a person and by your intentions too. I think that's a big factor, because when I had my near-death experience, basically Jesus explained to me how there's there's a world for every situation, like as though there's like a save game. And like basically when you have a save game that's too large and the game is fucked up and it's corrupted, what happens? Like it's basically a fucked up save game and nothing seems to work right. And that's basically, I think that happens with everything. I think even with the afterlife, I think if you're a horrible person and you left a lot of fucking damage behind you, I think you get the end result of that. And, especially if your inner behavior is terrible, like you're not going to have the ability to set the intentions on something good, because you're not going to know what that looks like. So, I mean, that's part of what keeping your heart clean is about, So I definitely believe in that aspect. But I don't think it's like fire and brimstone guaranteed, like unless you're like really horrible. But there's aspects to it. Anyway.
No, dude, I totally agree. I love it. Yeah.
Wait, I've got one more question. Sorry.
Ahead.
Okay. What do you think about this though? Okay, so I have a question about, when people get past life regression therapy, where you can see what you were in your past life. Why were they always human called John who lived in the 1800s or whatever? Why can't you be like, why doesn't nobody ever say I was in a different realm or a different reality, and I was this cat-like person or whatever it is, being, form, shape? Why do people ever say that? And that's the question. You know what I mean?
I wonder. I think it has to do with the brain. I think basically we as humans can't even conceptualize being something that's not a human, because maybe our brain's not designed for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you can't convey that in your current state of form.
Yeah. Like if you were gonna say like I was a hummingbird and I went into a light pole and electrocuted myself, would that, I don't know if our brain could really understand how to convey that,
Yeah. 100%. Or maybe the fact that you're even getting past life regression therapy in the first place suggests that you've had quite a few lifetimes in this realm. If you have that frame of mind, if that makes sense. And so you've already been here quite a few times, whereas if you haven't, and maybe it's your first time here, you just wouldn't maybe have that sort of mindset to even have past life regression therapy because you haven't experienced this realm enough. You know, maybe that's one thing.
Well, it's like that statement that the act of observing something changes how it is. Like, so that's a factor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Miyagi said, my opinion, Kay, is that these memories are in our DNA. We are standing on the shoulders of everyone in our bloodline.
Hell yes, you are correct, Mr. Miyagi. Indeed, sir.
Yeah, I like
Correct.
that. Totally.
That's very interesting. So it's all like an interconnected web of consciousness and memories. Yeah.
Well, that to me is like the cross right there, because what is DNA? It's two things crossed together, you know?
Yep, the double helix.
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for that input, Mr. Miyagi. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Thanks for supporting us. Somebody, let's see, Caribe Root said something about me that was awesome. Oh, highly recommend Brandon's Shadow Worked book. Makes you pause and think about some important things. You can get that at shadowworked.com. My website is morelawsmoreproblems.com. If you'd like more, if you'd like to support us, you could do that there. But our favorite way for you to support us is to just come to these chats that we do. And I have so next week, I plan on having some really cool guests. I don't know if I should spill the beans, but I plan on having Woodshop Bear on. And I also plan on having Awesome Austin on, who has the Melodome, which Sharon and I from the Over Sharon Show have been guests on his show. So look for those 2 episodes, Monday and Tuesday. We're going to do those again. And and every Thursday night we premiere the Over Sharon Show and we just hang out in the chat. So come there. It's really cool. It's a good group of people in there. It's always a lot of fun. You could find more about Kayleigh at morelawsmoreproblems.com. If you click on the Kayleigh tab, you can see her smiling face in some of the videos that we've done. And Sammy, is there anything you want to plug for yourself?
Oh, hell yeah. You know, check out odd.bio/SammyAhmed7777. That's like where my links are. You can check it out. It's odd.bio, bio/SammyAhmed7777. That's basically
you could send
my
me the
list
link
of links. Yep, hell yeah.
Yeah, send it to me.
On Telegram or in the chat, or what do you want?
No, Telegram's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll add it in there. So if you're
sure.
watching this video sometime in the future, welcome from the past. Greetings from the past.
Indeed.
What's it like in the future? What's but yeah, go check out Sammy and his stuff. And he has a Telegram channel as well. So if you're on Telegram, you can get in there, and he's always talking about some fun stuff.
Oh yeah, let me give you that too. I'll give you that. It's cafe.my website. Just a sec.
Yeah, sure.
Typing it in there.
Actually, if you're going to post links, can I send you that Star Trek clip? It's only like 3 minutes
long.
long.
Hell yeah, that's a good clip.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, totally.
All right,
I'll put that in there so people could check that out, and the people in the chat, you guys could check that out as well afterwards. Tomorrow, I'll probably put them in tonight or tomorrow. Ooh, it's 11:11 here almost.
I sent you both my links. Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll end it at 11:11 just to be those people.
I just want to encourage everyone one last time. Go try out pinball.cash. It's not nothing to take your money or anything. If anything, it's to give you crypto for free, and just do with what you want and try it out and see it working. It's nice and fun. It's basically like a website where they give it away. Anyway.
Yeah, talk to him and set that up, because I would definitely love to have him on the show and talk about.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll let him know. I'll let him know right away. Thanks,
awesome.
Man.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out.
Kayleigh.
It's 11:11
nice
now.
To meet you too.
So we're going to say good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Kayleigh. Thanks, Sammy. You guys can stay on the Zoom, but I'm going to stop this. All right. Good night, everybody.